Can you hear me okay? This is all one giant test. Get it so I can see the chat on here. Let me know if you can hear the my voice right now as well as the guitar a second ago. Alright, so gonna let me see chat here. Never done this before on OBS, so we will see. Live chat. Testing 1, 2. Okay, voice and guitar coming through. You fixed up my Princeton a few months back. Hell yeah. Was it the, which Princeton was it? I worked on a few. Was it the non-reverb one? The Silverface non-reverb 68, I think it was. For some reason the chat is not showing up in OBS, or not working for me in OBS, but I can see it on the desktop here. Guess I'll close that out. Docs, chat. Right on. Yeah, that thing was sweet. Still working well for you? Okay. All right, we're going to run this. See how this works here. If I pull up YouTube on a browser, I can actually see what's going on. Yep, okay, cool. Sweet. All right, let me just share this out real quick. Hey, what's up, Lyle? Lyle, tell me if the guitar is coming through okay. I'm gonna switch over to it real quick. Trying a totally crazy setup here, seeing if I can get audio from the guitar as well as my vocal mic. Sounds okay, you can hear it? Cool. How are the levels? No, the shop is like 54 degrees right now. So I'm inside in my little office studio here. And I thought, might as well try and do a live because I haven't done this in forever. And I was able to get it set up, so I've got the microphone here, and then I've got my interface. I'm running this Sir amp just direct right now. So I've got to switch over to it here, though. Audio awesome, sweet. So this guitar is pretty special. This is a Well, let's see if I can get it to focus. It's a Les Paul. I've had this longer than every other guitar I own. This is a 63, very early 63 Les Paul Jr. And somebody in the 70s put a very rare embossed logo T-top in the neck. To your point, Lyle, it's a terrible idea. And they also, it's got a headstock break. It's got patent pending Grovers on it, so 50s Grovers. And you can see they carved it out to put a switch in it. And you can see the neck too, how faded the neck is, the color, which is really cool. And they put the switch right here, and they actually took the time to carve out the pick guard. So it was very much a home job, but they really cared, and I love that. And yeah, I love this thing. It's a very, very, very cool guitar, but pretty fragile. Not one I would gig with for sure. But and even cooler, or maybe the coolest part of all of that, I'll show you, is the middle position. So it's out of phase. And yeah, just a mad scientist. Got the original bridge P90, and the neck T-top sounds great too. And this is a repro bridge as well to get it to intonate semi-decently with the G string. And I got it, it was brand new, shiny, looked like chrome, and now if you look at it, hopefully you can see, it looks like a vintage one. So just played it a bunch over the past, like, I don't know, 10 years or whatever. And now it looks old, which is cool. Yeah, there's some weird thing going on with I don't know, some kind of ground loop or something because of the USB connections between I don't know if it's something with the amp is not happy with the camera setup right now. It's getting this kind of little thing going on in the background that I could not figure out, but whatever, we'll just roll with it for now. Go back to the clean. What happens if I keep this mic on and this? They're probably gonna be out of sync. It's gonna be crazy. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. How out of sync were the mic and the guitar? I tried syncing up the guitar a little bit, and I didn't spend very much time on it, but it looked close enough that it was like not jarring. Defender USB ground loop power noise. Yeah, I definitely need something like that if I want to do more of this. Because yeah, I don't normally have that issue with this amp. In fact, I use this amp for recording a lot, and it's never been a problem for me before. Howdy. Let the good times roll by cars. Sync is close. Oh, okay. Cool. I didn't do anything for the camera mic, but the interface I just did like 50 milliseconds or something. We'll take it. So let me test something else here. don't know what's going to happen. This might be, get some Inception going here. Let's see. Oh, sick. Okay, cool. So I wanted to try and have like a browser on the side where I could do stuff and it not be all of my browsers. It looks like it grabbed the right one, which is perfect. I had this idea I wanted to do, and I don't know. We'll see if, if some people join in or whatnot, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do this. Oh, there goes Pops. There's like a 20-second delay. So I kind of wanted to play with this a little bit because I was putting together my insurance, my annual gear insurance I have, and just kind of putting together the schedule for all of the gear that I have on there, which is basically everything, and kind of modifying the values, the replacement values of everything I have. And again, replacement value, not what I paid, but the replacement value to get, all new stuff or equivalent stuff should some natural disaster happen or whatever. And to my surprise, it adds up to like almost 100K. Actually, just a little over 100K, but it includes everything like gig bags, cables, all of my guitars, all of my amps, and that very top dollar, for each thing. I would not get anywhere near that if I sold everything I own. But it kind of gave me an interesting thought of what would I do if there's a flood or something that happened and I just got $100,000 blank check, not blank, $100,000 check from the bank, and I had to replace all my gear. What would I do? And I just thought it was a really interesting thought experiment because I spent all of these years building out my collection of, you can kind of see over my shoulder, guitars, and you guys have seen all the amps in the garage space, and I spent a lot of time curating all of that and finding all of those pieces, and it's kind of an interesting thought of like, would I do all of that the same way again, or would I do something different? So I thought it'd be kind of fun to build that out, and so I'm gonna pop this out. Oh, perfect. I thought it'd be kind of fun to just build that out, and then maybe have you guys, what you do, and kind of build that out on here. Like, what guitars would I do? What amps? Would I just get like a couple crazy vintage guitars and a couple crazy amps and just kind of leave it there? Or would I go for the variety that I kind of done here? So anyways, that was the idea. But I don't think I'll do it just yet. But that was just a plan. Concept, I should say. Go back to this. Move this over here. Give me the chat back. There we go. That's helpful. Cool. 45% in amps, 35% into guitars, 20% into pedals. All right, sir. I think you get to be the first one to build it out if you're still here. I've got an idea. I've got a couple ideas in my head, but I'm curious. I'm curious how people will do this. I'm gonna put the guitar away real quick. All right, let's figure this out. Can I pop this out? Oh, I can. Perfect. Okay, let's go browser up here. This chat to pop out so I can see what you guys are saying. Alrighty. Let's do a roll call. If you're watching, just say hi in the chat. I don't know how to see how many people are watching. So basically the premise that I had, and I said this a little bit earlier, but I've got it here. I was going through my my schedule for my insurance policy and all of my gear, and just kind of doing the updates for the year of like what everything is worth, and you know, just kind of updating the various pricing and adding in new things, taking off old things, whatever else. And the total value of it, all of my gear, and this is replacement value, so basically means if I were, you know, to have to replace that thing today, what would it cost? So it's gonna be more than, you know, more than what I would get if I were to sell that item. It's going to be basically the top dollar of whatever the thing is. You know, if it's, I got my Les Paul, it would be reordering a brand new made to measure Les Paul to replace it, right? So quite a lot of money. All that combined totaled to $100,000, which is, I'm gonna take this off, which is a lot of money, And it just kind of made me think, well, what would happen if I lost everything? You know what I mean? Some natural disaster hit, whatever, took out all of my gear. It'd be a tragedy. I would be so devastated. I spent a long time curating and getting all this stuff, right? But what I do, you know, it's kind of an exciting idea of like, man, what direction would I go? Would I try and do the exact same thing and replace every single item I have? Or would I do things differently from a blank slate? So I was like kind of mulling that over, talking with some friends about that idea. I was like, I'm just going to do a live stream and just freaking try this and see what everyone else would do as well. And just kind of put them on the board and just kind of compare. I think it would be fun. What's up? Hey, Jim. What's up, Joe? You would cry a lot. Yeah. I'm there with you. It would be absolutely devastating. A lot of this stuff, a lot of my stuff is, the hard part is it's kind of irreplaceable, to be honest. You know, a lot of this stuff I spent years and years looking for very rare items. For example, my AC10 SRT, I spent years looking for one of those. My AC30 Super Twin, very rare to find one. That's a hard find. Just a lot of my amps. I'm trying to think what else. The 59 Bassman, that's a tough one to get back unless you're willing to spend crazy money. And then my guitars too. My guitars especially. That Les Paul Jr. you guys just saw me playing. You're never going to find another one like that. You know, you're going to find a cleaner, nicer one. But that one's got a lot of vibe and character to it, which I really appreciate. And I've got other guitars that, you know, a couple made to measure Les Pauls. You know, my gold top is under 8 pounds, not chambered. That's going to be hard to find. So anyways, I was just thinking, you know, what direction would I go? I have some ideas in my head. And I figure maybe I'll kind of build it out and talk through it with you guys, and then maybe we can kind of build some of your own rigs. I've got a couple places on here for that. So that's the idea. That's the concept. Now I'm going to pull up, let's see. I'm going to pull up a couple options here. We'll look at it on a different window for guitars. I think let's start with guitars because that's going to be the biggest dollar item for most things. So there's kind of, I got two trains of thought here. I'm a Gibson guy at heart, so Gibson guitars would be my primary. There's a couple guitars that aren't Gibson guitars that I would have to have, but I'm less choosy with those, shall we say. And then there's a couple amps that I just have to have. So the guitars, I'm between, for Gibson, Les Pauls and ES 335s or 345s. Both of those are the same to me. So would I go, these are kind of my two options I'm thinking through. Would I go with the 1954 Les Paul Custom, a vintage one? And let's look up on Reverb what one of those costs. So we will go decade 50s. So there's only 3 of them, or there's none of them. Wow, okay. There's not a single vintage 50s Les Paul Custom on Reverb right now. Oh, that was weird. You look up Les Paul Custom and didn't give me anything. Okay. So let's look for 54 to 56. Let's see here. 54 to 56. There we go. Okay. So this is like my favorite guitar. I've never played a vintage one. I really, really want to. I have a buddy who was shopping for a couple of vintage guitars, and he played one at Retrofit, a shop in Brooklyn, and he said it was the best guitar he's ever played. And obviously, you guys have seen on my channel, I've got a white reissue, a custom made to measure, a white 54 spec custom. That's my main guitar I use for most things. But obviously, if I could have a vintage one, I would. So just looking at some of these here, let's just pull up this one right here. All original. Looks very nice. We'll call it 40K. All right, we're going to use this as our template here. Doesn't look like a PRS to me. You're not wrong there, brother. What's up, Jay? All right. So this is kind of option number 1 for me. I think I would be willing to drop half of that budget, more or less, on like one crazy vintage guitar. Now, I did a video on my channel called Don't Buy Vintage. And that video, it was actually received really well by 99% of the people. But there's a small subset of people that were really upset by it. And I don't think they really took the time to really kind of hear me out, I guess, and kind of see what I was trying to say in it. I thought I kind of covered the bases pretty well there. It was pretty clear, the audience I was talking to in that. Vintage is a rabbit hole. It is such a bad idea if you're really not experienced in it. You don't have a ton of money to blow. It's just kind of, it's a tough space. It's for the crazies, and I'm one of those crazies, so I consider myself more an exception, than the rule as far as that's concerned. So my video is more for the general public. For me personally, obviously, you guys have seen I've invested a ton of my money and time into vintage stuff, specifically vintage amps, because it's more affordable, more in my wheelhouse. But vintage guitars, I played a bunch, and I've played some great ones. I played some ones that were fine. I think for me, the vintage guitar appeal is more just the feeling, the vibe of it versus just being an all around better guitar, better performing guitar. I don't think that's really the case. It might be 2% better sounding, maybe, if you could objectively quantify that, but the character, the vibe is really what sells it for me. So if I were to start over, hey, what's up, Mark? This is kind of the premise, Mark, we're working through. If I had 100K, I lost all my gear, I had to start over completely. What would I buy? What would I spend it on? So this is kind of front runner for me. Another option. The other option here would be 59 through 1964. Would be a vintage 345, and hopefully for a little bit of cost savings. Now, I love ES guitars. You might be able to see, you can't see it anymore, but I've got an ES 345 and I've got an ES 330 behind me as well. I love ES guitars. If I had to have a humbucker guitar, it would be for this price range, this would be one of the two options I would look at. Now, a lot of these are very overpriced. I would expect it to be more in the 25K range, looks like. So let's see which one. I would get a Bigsby. This is what I would go for. Something like this. What's up, Lou? I'm done. I'm not starting again. I like big necks. My reissue has a massive neck. I'm more comfortable with the big necks, to be honest. I would take a big neck over a skinny neck any day of the week. Which is where it gets a little tricky with the ES guitars, to be honest, because Gibsons in the early 60s can have very skinny necks. So let's do this. So that's about half the price. That gives me a bit more wiggle room. Now let's look at, because I think if I were to do a 335, I think it would be busting the bank. Let's see. I wish it would save my filter parameters. We could go 58 on a 335, 1964. Yeah, so we're in the 50K range pretty quick. Oh, this is not bad. No repairs. Neck pickup rewind, that's tough. Let's see. 63. I'd really want a 64, to be honest. Yeah, like this maybe. No structural damage. Refret, that's fine. Original Bigsby. All right, let's do this one. This is cheaper than I was expecting, to be honest. I don't really know the market for these that well. I mean, it's been sitting for 8 months too. Jeez. Maybe if we looked at the photos a bit closer, we'd find more problems, but I would obviously take this every day of the week over this with a stereo baritone. That's insane. So let's just get rid of this. Because if it's the same price, we're going 335, let's be honest. Deploy money. All right. Welcome those that are just joining. So here's the premise. I'll be very quick, Brad. I was doing my annual gear insurance schedule, is putting together all my, just kind of going through, checking the pricing, making adjustments, removing old stuff, putting in new stuff, whatever else. And basically all of my gear replacement value, if something were to happen to it with this insurance policy, is about $100,000. That's not what I paid replacement value. So I thought, just kind of a thought came in my mind of, well, what if I lost everything in some natural disaster and I was given a $100,000 check? What would I do? Would I try and re-find everything I've spent all these years looking for, or would I kind of start new and go in a different direction? So I'm going to build out a rig, and then maybe we'll kind of build out a couple other rigs of those that are on here. Might be fun. So my 100K rig, I think I would probably go with less guitars. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9, 10. I have 10 guitars. That's a lot. Yes, I do, Brad. There's a specific gear insurance that everybody I know that's a musician uses, and I've had them do payouts for me, no problem. Yeah, they've been great. No deductible either. So yeah, so I am in a fire zone. That is true, Mark. Unfortunately, yeah, that is a very real fear actually. But let's just, this is all hypothetical. You know, should something happen? So I've got 10 guitars. That's a lot of guitars. What I do is I go in cycles with them. So I'll, I would be just all in on one, and I'll play one nonstop for like 2 months, and then I'll rediscover my other guitars. And it's kind of like great because you get like a brand new guitar every few months because it's just been sitting there. You pick it up and like, oh my gosh, I forgot how great this amp is, or this guitar, excuse me. So yeah, so I love the variety. I love being able to pick up, different types of guitars for different sounds, and they just make me play different, they sound different, whatever else. But I do think if I were to do it over again and it was just a blank check, like I would never drop $40,000 on a guitar. If I had $40,000 to drop on a guitar, that's crazy. That's so much money. I would never do that. But if I had money that was allocated specifically for purchasing gear, and this is the kind of the only scenario where that would happen, and I had this much money to play with, and it didn't matter how much was put into one piece or all of the pieces, it just had to total a certain amount, that's where it gets fun. So that's the whole premise of this. And I think I would spend a big chunk on one of these guitars here. I don't think I would do both. No, I definitely wouldn't do both. Less than a dozen. Yeah, less than a dozen. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are like that like kind of freak out if the guitar's been sitting for like 6 months. I don't have that problem at all because I know it's a great guitar and I'll come back to it and fall in love with it again, and I'll play it for 2 months straight. And I just kind of go in loops. The only exception really with that is gigging. Like I can't really gig my ES330 or my Gretsch. The fully hollow guitars, they just don't work. We're too loud. And then some like I don't like Strats, period. I've got a good Strat, but I don't really like Strats. I have it just to have a Strat. But like a Telly, I love my Telly, but the other guitar player plays a Telly in our band, so I don't play that live anymore. On a guitar that might dent it. If you dropped 1K on it, I think it'd be fine. Let's use a money clip. Seriously. So anyways, so here's a couple options. There's a third option that I would look at. These are kind of the like holy grail Gibson guitars I'd be really interested in. That would be kind of realistic in this scenario and still give me enough money to get everything else figured out. Not a burst. Let's see, year 1954, 1950, oops, 55. I would go with a Wrap Tail Gold Top. I am a huge fan of these guitars. I wanted one for forever, a reissue. I tried to buy one multiple times. I just was never able to find one for a decent deal. So this is one that I've always wanted, and I think would be very, very cool. Now 60K is crazy. I figured we could probably find one in the 40s. Looks like we can. Yeah, let's look at this one. This one's the cheapest one. Since I learned to set them up, most of my... Yeah, like I said, I just go through little spells of like, I'm just so in love with this guitar, and that's all I play for a while, and then I pick up something else. This is in the UK. All right, maybe this one's not super viable. What's the next best one? All right, it's just one owner. That's pretty great. 100% original. Okay, let's do this one. So there's the major guitar options I would choose between. They're all pretty close. Surprisingly, I thought this was going to be the most expensive, the 335. It looks like I could ball out and get, you know, get an even nicer one. I'm a bit surprised by this. Maybe there's some unknown issue. It said it was all original, I think, but well, yeah, I only played it at church. It looks very good. This one looked amazing. All of the checking on and everything. So to be honest, this would be my number one choice. I wouldn't want a like 57, 58, 59 Les Paul. I just prefer humbuckers on semi-hollows, to be honest. I really, really like the P90 combination with solid bodies. That's my preference, I think. So anyways, so these are kind of the guitar options. The other guitars I would get, these are my for sure's. This I have to have. Let's just type in Danocaster. Because I don't know what he calls his models. We'd be looking at the offset. So Jazzmaster, there's only 2 of them on, 3 of them on here. So this wouldn't be the color I would go for. Yeah, it's fine. This is maybe my favorite guitar, period. My Danocaster Jazzmaster, you guys have seen it on the channel a ton. It's kind of my main guitar I use for testing everything. I absolutely adore that guitar, and I could not survive without one. I play it more than all my guitars for sure. So that's a must for me. Danocaster JM. I've played several vintage Jazzmasters, and I mean they're fine. They're good guitars, but I would take my Danocaster over all of them, to be honest. It's just such a great guitar, and Danocasters just have a reputation of being all great guitars. So, is what it is. Let's see here. How do I find? I was going to try and find this and put it on Instagram if people wanted to watch, but I don't know how to do that. Anyways, yeah, Dano. So I would not go for a vintage Jazzmaster. To be honest, I wouldn't go for any vintage Fender. Maybe that's controversial. I don't know, but I struggle with those a little bit. There's some great guitars. I might be playing a 50s Blackguard, excuse me, in a couple weeks. I know somebody that has one. I'm very excited to check that out. I think it's gonna be really cool. But I don't know if that would be the guitar I would really, really want to go for. I would rather have one of those Gibsons personally. And they're 100K or whatever they are now. So it's just kind of not really worth it. Sorry, just putting this on Instagram real quick. I had a Dodge Coronet 440 in a garage. Rad. You're a Stratty boy. That's right, you did. Yeah, it's just such a great guitar, that Dano. Yeah, you're not wrong, Lou. You're not wrong. There's just some guitars have something extra. I believe that. And I would say my Danocaster is something extra. And every Danocaster I've played has been really, really great. They've got just such a great feeling to them. So maybe the next one I get wouldn't be as good, but I would have to go that direction. I wouldn't go with the custom shop personally. I've played a couple Jazzmaster custom shops. They're fine. But again, the Danacasters have something special, and I like the pickups, at least in mine, much better. So that's a must for me. Another, I would do. Where did I have it here? I would get a custom shop Telecaster. I have to have a Telecaster. That's kind of a must, I think. But I don't need it to be some vintage one. I'm not that picky. I think tellies in general, a good telly sounds like a good telly. I don't think there's a huge variety with specifically more the 50s style, like broadcaster style. Really, I would just purchase based off of looks, to be honest. So let's just find something that I like. I mean, something like this is fine. 64, no, I'd want it to be a 50s style. That's right, Dano. That's what I said before. I forgot. Danocaster. I would do a Danocaster telly if it's about the same price as a custom shop, which it is. Not much on reverb. I'm surprised. I would expect more. I guess this is kind of our only option. It's not great. Paid you 20 to have. Nice. Yeah, I think like with bolt-on guitars, to be honest, I struggle a little bit with them of being like that much different from guitar to guitar to guitar. Like, the step up in quality from a Gibson when you go with like an Epiphone to USA to custom shop, there's a very tangible feeling to them. The sound is objective, but I do think the feeling, there's a huge step up in the premium feeling of a custom shop reissue over a USA, traditional or a standard, and then vintage, obviously another level up from that. I think there's just less of a gap with Fenders in my experience. I love my custom shop telly. It's fantastic. It's a great sounding guitar, but so is basically every other decent telly I've ever played. They all sound like great tellies. I guess I would go for, honestly, I'm not super digging any of these ones on reverb, but if I had to choose between all of these, I would probably go with the Charcoal Frost Metallic. It's a pretty color. It's what my Strat is. This one's pretty green. Strat over telly. I just can't get into Strats. I've got one. I should probably sell it because I just never use it, but yeah, I don't really dig any of the Dano tellies here. Let's go back to the under custom shop. Let's do broadcaster. Do they have any cool colors? Well, I don't really dig the butterscotch look personally, unless it's really well done. Like Dano does it well, Nacho does it really well, those kind of things. Otherwise, I just don't really like it, to be honest. Telecaster. I just want to find one that's like 50s. If I type this in, I don't really like the 60s. Just a bit too thin for me. I don't mind double bound. I mean, frankly, I could just go with my guitar that I have right now. I'd have no problem with that. Let's see, Fender Custom Shop, Telecaster, thin line. Surely somebody's selling theirs, right? Yeah, that Collings is pretty special. Collings is such a, man, they make such great stuff. I just cannot get behind their real, very close to Gibson guitars. They're too small. I don't like that they shrunk them. Is there really not nobody has my telly or a variant of it? Who thought I would be freaking struggling to find a Telecaster here? Telecaster 50s. I say what I wouldn't be picky, and then here I am being picky with a Tele. Not maple neck. I would want rosewood. Probably. Oh, here we go. I mean, this is my guitar. Sure. We'll just get that again. Oh, it's Sonic Blue. Mine's white. Interesting. That's fine. I like the ergonomics of the thin lines where the pickup selector is angled. So they're, in my opinion, way easier to play live. And I do like the semi-hollow side of them. I think that's cool. All right, there we go. Yeah, I'm much more of a rosewood guy, though I don't mind the maple on my Tele, but it took a while to wear in. It took a while for it to not feel terrible, to be honest. Let me grab it real quick and I'll show you guys what I mean. So if you can see, so it's got the wear on it. It came like that from Fender, but you can see all of the gunk and crap all over. That's all for me. That none of that was actually there. It took a while for that to start showing up, but now it actually looks pretty legit in person. Whereas it just had all these like bald spots on the fretboard that look kind of goofy, but all of the gunk has started to wear in. And then if I go to the back of the neck, see that? How it's kind of darker and worn in all around here. So now it feels great. When I first got it, that very raw wood feel, I just don't really like. I actually prefer the Journeyman lacquer neck of my Strat, but this feels great now, but it took a while to get that. This guitar has aged a bunch since I got it. In fact, if you look at the video, it looks pretty white here, but if you look at it in like normal light, it's yellowed a ton. And if you look at the original video I did, the review of it when I first got it, it is completely changed colors. Off the back, you can really see it. You can see it a bit more. So it's a great guitar though. Sounds awesome. Everyone that's played it has really liked it. It's very fat sounding Tele. Yep, that's a V-neck. I like the V-neck on that as well. It's just I don't know. It was a little bit of a fad for a short period of time. This is actually a NAMM guitar. And Fender did, I asked them how many they did. They did 13 of them in the configuration of mine. And yeah, it's just something, I go over this in the video where I talk about relics. And it's just a piece of art to me. It's just really cool. I know somebody that works for Fender Custom Shop. He's a master builder. And I just think, I think it's really cool that they do that sort of stuff. And each one looks different that Fender did. They got kind of similar where it's just like you see the one here. Let me go back to it. They both have aged wear, but you can see it's definitely different. The back is different. They both have wear here, but it's definitely different. And over time, they just age more on their own, but I like it just because it's kind of makes it unique. And then again, you look at the original video of this guitar when I first got it and compare it to today, it has aged a ton just from playing it. So, it's not like the story is completely written and there's no way for you to like add any of your own to the guitar. That's just not true unless you don't play very often. What kind of Strat do you have that you don't like? I don't like them much until I play a couple custom shots. I'll grab the Strat. This is the Strat. So this is it's Charcoal Frost Metallic, which I love this color. It's kind of like a gunmetal gray, if you will. It's a Journeyman Relic. So it's got checking, if you can see that. It's got checking and just, you know, a few dings here and there, but it's very light relic. It still has lacquer on the neck, but it's very thin. It does have actually a little bit of a flame on the neck, but it's not obnoxious. It does look nice. And it's got a Spitfire Tort guard I put on it, which I think looks killer. All nice and wavy like the originals get. And I just think it's a cool combo. You don't see that very often, Charcoal Frost Metallic with a Spitfire Tort. And then, yeah, Rosewood neck. And what I really wanted was a Strat that had a thicker neck. I can't get behind the really thin 63 oval C necks that Fender put on every single custom shop Stratocaster for some reason. So this is a 65 reissue, which has a bit of a thicker neck, and this has got like the perfect neck. So I spent a while looking for a Strat, and it's got a great feeling neck. It plays great. I just don't like it. Just nothing to do with the guitar. I just don't like Strats, period. Also the pickups. I don't like the pickups in it, which sucks because they're Ron Ellis pickups, very, very expensive pickups. It came with Seymour Duncans in it, and they were great. They sounded really good. And I like this guitar a lot more with those pickups. These are just kind of, I don't know, just don't really have it for me. The middle is, for whatever reason, a lot warmer and hotter sounding than the other positions, so the in-betweens are kind of out of whack. And, yeah, it's just whatever. But, yeah, I think I'm going to sell these pickups, put new ones in, and see if I like it some more. But just in general, the ergonomics of a Strat, just not really my deal. But I do think it is gorgeous. And I think as far as Strats go, this is a very good-looking one. So that's the Strat. See the back of it too, and the neck. You can kind of see it's got a little bit of flame on the headstock too. It's hard to get it in this light, but there you go. That's the Strat. Would have liked it more, the humbucker. Before that, I had a Sir Classic Pro, which is a HSS guitar, and it was a great guitar, but I lived on the bridge pickup humbucker. So at that point, I'd rather have a Les Paul. I'd rather have any of my humbucker guitars. I don't mind a Strat sounding like a Strat. I just there's never a time where I really prefer the sound of that over, say, my Jazzmaster, for example, if I want a single coil bridge pickup that's Fendery. Thank you. Ensure my tools. Yeah, I mean, they are, and it's also like one thing, I don't know if most people don't even really know this, is like your homeowner's insurance, for example. If you in any way make money from using your instruments, it will not be covered by most homeowners insurance policies. So that's why I had to get a bespoke one for all of my gear, because it wouldn't be covered otherwise. Most of it I don't use, for a side income or anything, but I put all of it on there just to be safe. And they're, a lot of them are not investments in the way like a stock is an investment, but they're things that I have a lot of money tied into that have appreciated in value a good bit since I bought them. And just nice to have a little protection on that. 59 Esquire neck shapes. Yeah, I have a buddy who has a reissue 59 Esquire. Great necks. Klein pickups. Yeah, I've heard good things about those, but never used them. You're an Ellis fanboy. I've played some great sounding guitars with Ron Ellis pickups in them. Maybe it's just not this specific Strat set I'm just not in love with. It's more just the imbalance between the middle position and the other positions I just don't really like. The bridge is very weak, which is whatever, but the middle just throws off the in-between positions for me. I even reached out to him. He's local. I live like, I don't know, 15 minutes away from him. We're one city away from each other. We have actually a decent number of mutual connections, but I've never met him myself. Send me 59. Honestly, I'm down, Matt. I need an excuse to rip those out and sell them. So yeah, let's work it out. I'll try them out. I have another set. I have a Rewind Electric set that I bought for the Strat. And I was going to do a comparison of the Ron Ellis versus the Rewind Electric. I did a video, this is a while back, but I did a deep dive video comparing that Ron Ellis set to the Seymour Duncan set. And the opinions were mixed, and rightfully so. But to me, I just preferred the Seymour Duncans. But I bought a Rewind Electric set, and that was another boutique set that I was going to compare those two. And then it turns out I bought a set that he doesn't make anymore, so it's not really one-to-one of what people get now. And then I talked to him about potentially swapping, and then he, closed down his shop for a while. So I don't know what it's. I think I'm just going to have to sell all those pickups and not even bother. See ya, Brad. Thanks for stopping by, man. Hopefully you can relax a little bit. But I hear you. I mean, I have a full-time career in marketing that is completely irrelevant to everything I do here on YouTube. So everything you guys see is in addition to my career. So, and I've got, 1.5-year-old, and I got another one due in a little over 2 weeks. So very, very busy. All right. Where were we? Is there a way to see how many people are watching right now? 16 people. Sweet. So, for those that have just joined, here's the basic premise. I'll let you read that. But we're trying to build out a rig. If I had $100,000 because I lost all my gear, what would I do? And not all of these, I obviously already bust the bank if I got all of these, but these are all options for me, kind of must-haves. So let's continue that. Volta, no, let's do Castidosa. I mean, if we're going for it, let's get a real... I've not considered getting one of these because they're so insanely expensive, but I play baritones so much that it makes sense to get a nicer baritone. But the problem with baritones is you've got like Squire, then you got mid-tier, which is what I have, like a Revolta, and then after that there's like nothing until you get to like $7,000 Castidosas. There's not really much else. Let's see, this is pretty sick. I dig that. They're like funky and ugly but also cool. This is how I would describe these. It would need to have a trem. I think trem is so good on a baritone. Just throw this on there. Revolta. Last time I looked, there was no Revolta baritones my style. So they replaced them with this different version, which is not, you're not able to install a trem. So let's show you here. So this is the latest Revolta baritone revision that came out, and it looks like, oh cool, it's got a Jazzmaster trem. No, it's got a hardtail using a Jazzmaster setup, and I don't know if it's a direct swap in. Like, is it routed underneath to fit a Jazzmaster trem underneath? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. So I'll grab mine real quick. So this is mine. I use this thing a ton. This is a very, very good guitar. Well, in some ways it's not. But I put on a Duesenberg Les Trem on it, which is really, really nice. And this is kind of probably one of my most used guitars since doing this. And I use it live all the time, and I'm using it in recordings as well. And yeah, so the latest revision, it's got all of these switches here. You lose the selector switch. So immediately for live use, this is a way inferior guitar. You know, trying to go between these 4 switches, trying to get the right pickup selector, you know, whatever you're looking for, just, it's the same reason why Jags are terrible live unless you do the Johnny Marr one where they've got the switch. So I just think this revision they did is really dumb. I think the inlay swap is bad. I think these look way better. So this original version I think is far, far nicer than the new one. So that's unfortunate there's no used ones up for us to list. I don't think I'd be anywhere near 100K for a Dream Rig. Yeah, probably not, Matt. You got some money to spend, brother. Put this back. Do you guys know of any other, CHGC, do you guys know of any other baritone options out there? Anything else that's got a trem on it that's not uber cheap? Like actually a decent instrument and not a metal guitar. Because again, you got this range, you got these, you know, you got a freaking bucket head style thing, you got metal stuff, you got Squier stuff, you got Dan Electro stuff. I want something in between all of those. It's a good price, high to low. Yeah, Castadosa is like the only game in town. That's the thing. Oh, this could be cool. All right, this is what I'd do. Maybe not in this finish, but yeah, I've seen the PRS one, but they look like metal guitars. I've only ever seen them in finishes that are like, you know, it's like a black flame top burst kind of thing. Because I looked at one before getting my Revolta. Honestly, I get more compliments on that Revolta than just about anything else. People love the look of it. It's got a very cool retro look. All right, so that's that. Baritone. Honestly, I think that's it. The only other thing I'd be interested in would be this. Well, there's lots of stuff I'd be interested in, but like really would want would be a 59, 58. Would be something like this. More in the 15K range. Special would be cool. I think I'd rather have a junior though. Yeah. Original finish, that's super important. Refretted, perfectly fine, repaired headstock. I don't think I'd go for that. Australia. Don't think so. Wow, is it really that big of a gap, huh? 25K is just absolutely dumb for one of those. We're going to go with this one. We'll do this. I've seen them pop up locally for around this price without a headstock repair, so I don't think those other ones are realistic of what they'd actually sell for. All right, so that's the guitar lineup. We'd get rid of, we would pick basically one of these 3, probably, yeah. And then the rest, and then we pick one of these 2. Let's just do that right now. I'd rather have a Castadosa or Collings. I'd rather have a Castadosa, to be honest. So let's do this. So let's just see what that totals out to. So that's 15. Let's call it 8. We might have to cut back on some stuff. Let's see here. Let's call it 44. Let's call it $4,000. Let's call it another 4,500. So all of this, $75,500 in guitars. If we only do one of these three. So yeah, it adds up pretty quick, but that's a lot of money left. You know, if we have $100,000, that's another 25 grand left for amps, pedals. You know, that's a good amount. So let's see what this is what I would do for amps. I would have to have a bassman. A Tweed bassman. After getting mine, I'd have to have one. I would have to have that. I have to have the Vox. 1958, 1960. Honestly, I'd prefer one that's ratty like this. Original Tweed is an absolute must for me. Replace caps, replace transformer. Even though it's power transformer, it's not an issue. It's just if I'm having fun here, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I don't think any of these are realistic. A lot of these prices. What the hell's going on over here? Oh, this is the... oh, I'm looking at it upside down, that's why. This is on the high side for a bassman like this, but I think we'll just do this one. I paid like half this for mine. So bassman, I gotta have a higher powered Tweed. The lower powered Tweeds are cool, but they're just not very usable for me. They just kind of fart out too quick. They're not giggable. They're not loud enough. I've played a couple Tweed Pros, which is the same as a Tweed Super, just in a 115 versus 210, and they just don't have enough juice. The bassman is kind of honestly borderline. Vox AC30. This would be, I would have to have another Super Twin. It's just my favorite amp. I've seen this one before. I think it's basically all original. I don't remember if it was top boost or not. Not top boost. That would be a problem for me. The top boost is specifically the channel I use. I don't love the trapezoid heads. What do you guys think of the trapezoid heads? I think they're kind of odd. They're a little ugly, to be honest. I much prefer the not. These are the black grow cloths that kind of age brown. I much prefer the brown, but let's see. Any shots of the inside here? Most of the WEMA caps are there. That's good. Back panel's replaced. That's whatever. All right, we'll go this one. This one's fine. I would be the most devastated out of all of my stuff. Losing it all, I would be most devastated losing my AC30. Why in the world did it do that? What is happening? You go more crazy on the amps and the guitars, what would you get? I mean, you got $100,000. We can get a Dumble. Remember, we got 25K to spend here. Factor in pedals too. We'll probably figure like 3 grand for pedals. So we got 22K. Just for fun, is there one on here? I didn't think so. So I would do that. Marshall, I would go. Honestly, I would do this. I know this is super left field, but I've wanted one of these forever. I've wanted a Silver Jubilee for a long time. And these are the smaller head and cab. These are 212 slant, diagonal. I think those are super cool. 50 watts. I almost bought a full stack for Marshall stuff. I like my 100 watt JMP is amazing. It's a great sounding amp. It's just not really usable unless you're gigging, and it's just not. I don't love the tone at home alone. In a band mix, when I did that YouTube video of me playing it, I thought that was maybe my best live tone ever. But it's just kind of a really, really hard amp to use. So I don't think I would go with. I think I would go with the Silver Jubilee. So many people whose tones I love, Frusciante, John Frusciante, Bonamassa, those kind of people. They're well-known Jubilee users. And the 212 combo is really sick, really giggable. That's the other one that I'm really struggling with is the 2204. 2203 or 2204, specifically JMP, the late 70s. That's the other amp I'm really, really interested in owning. I've never played one. I want one so bad. It's really between those two. That was the other. It was basically going to be between the Silver Jubilee and that amp. I think the Silver Jubilee might be a bit more my style. So we got that on there. I would have to have this. Wow, is there not a single used power station? That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, you think they need to be paired with something else, just like those guys all do. I've never played one. So you could absolutely be right, and I might hate it. Or I might love it. I don't know. Terrible's probably strong word as well, Matt, right? Have to have a PS100. That's a must. Gets you a knob from a Dumble these days. Yeah, Swartz are cool. I've never played one, but I've heard really good things about them. But they're all small, right? They're all, I don't know, 5 watts, 10 watts. Aren't they all like that? Yeah, I guess I've watched YouTube videos of them. I think they sound great, Matt. They've got, the EQ seems more versatile. They've got more range to them. I know that they're like 2-channel, but it's kind of a gimmick. I wouldn't use it. I would just use it as one core sound. But also, I often use 2 amps together quite a lot. So that paired with something else might be sick. But I really like the 212, like the mini 412 setup like this, where it's just it looks like it's a full size head, but it's a small head and a 212 slant cab. There's no speaker here, no speaker here. I think it's really a cool little trick setup. Oh, 35 watt. Swear, I didn't know they'd. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, same guy. 35 watt and 18 watt. That's cool. I didn't know that. I always think of them as like the really small little amps. I know very little about them though. Send me the link. Post the link. I'll buy it. I've been looking. I was looking the other day. I got saved searches. 79, that's exactly what I want. Send me the link. If it's 1500 and decent, I'll go get it. What was the other amp I was gonna do? I need a Fender, like a black face Fender. I don't know if you'll be able to share the link in YouTube. It might block it. Try it. Do I want to put my personal Facebook up? Probably not. Let's do this. I'll do it on a different tab. Marshall 79. I'm not seeing it. Let's just all quickly just come to an agreement here that Facebook Marketplace is the worst platform of all time. The search doesn't work. It crashes out. It glitches. It's just awful. Maybe if I type in JMP. No, it's not that one. It's not that one. What's the name of it if you're not able to paste the link? Yeah, it's not showing up for me. I got 29 miles. Maybe I'll go extend it. Oh yeah, I'm not far enough. Let's go 60. Oh, it's this. Holy cow. It's got some work done to it. Effects loop installed by Top Gear. Oof, she's seen some things. Oh, the knobs. That kills me. If it had the knobs still, though, that really bothers me. It shouldn't, but it does. Drive safe, Matt. Is 6G8 the blonde one? I've got a friend with one. I'm trying to get him to let me bring it on the channel and do a deep dive on it. I don't know if it's a good price. It looks really rusted. It's got an effects loop, which I guess is whatever, but that's 5 additional holes added to it. No backplate. It looks very rusted. All right, I'll save search. I'll think about it. Marsnall. Exactly. I mean, sometimes those ones sound the best, right? The ones that are just beat to hell. Let's look. I'm not really in the market for anything, but these were some of the amps I was looking at. I was looking at this one. Look how clean and nice this is. Not that much more money. 2,400 ask, but actual what would they do? It looks like this one has an effects loop as well. I don't mind an effects loop add. I guess it's is what it is. Additional hole there. So this one's been modded. I mean, I don't know. I've never played one, so I might actually hate it. Same thing for this. I was looking at this too. This is where I live, Oceanside. You get the cab with that one. Obviously, it's a reissue, not a vintage one. So going back to the amp setup here, what else? I would want another Fender brown or black face. I played my 68 Super, the Drip Edge. The other day I brought it to a gear hang with a friend, and gosh, it sounds so good. But that amp is so loud. It is so freaking loud, and it sounds very, very good. I've actually never gigged it. I go back and forth between it and my Vibrolux Reverb all the time. I can never decide which one, like if I had to sell one, which one I would do, because I like them both a ton, and I really prefer one over the other for periods of time, and then I switch back over. Super Reverb is just hard to beat for the price. Nothing touches them, man. And I made a whole video on that. I think it's my most popular video ever, actually. Let's look up what a Vibrolux Reverb goes for. These are just so much more. Damn, these people are insane. $6 grand, $5 grand. I don't think so. That's not happening. Drip Edge, you want $5 grand? People are so crazy. Yeah, this is more realistic. It was great. $3 grand. Let's see. Three prong original speakers. It's got the right speakers. Those look different. Their Fender label. I guess I can't quite make it out. For some reason, those look a little odd to me, but they should be C10Ns. Although, you guys have heard mine, again, on the YouTube channel. The Oxfords sound very, very good in that amp. No transformer shots. That's so crazy to me. No circuit shots and no transformer shots. How are people doing this? What's the next one over? I just don't like twins that much, to be honest. Maybe I'm a little jaded because I played a couple with JBLs. I just really don't like that sound. Again, no circuit shots, no shots of the transformers. Says original transformers. Okay, let's throw this one. So basically, I would pick this or the Super. I have no idea which one I would go with in reality. Like I said, which one would you guys do? Would you get a Vibrolux Reverb? Much more portable, more breakup at the same volumes, or more breakup a lot sooner, more reasonable volume. It's got more mids to me. It's got it's obviously not as big of it. It's a smaller, more focused sound versus a Super, very big sound, very wide sound. It's got a lot of depth to it, a lot of low end. It's very, very loud, quite a bit louder. Takes a lot longer to break up. 410s has got a very specific sound. Those two, which would you go with? Well, if I can check out your 2204, maybe I can make my decision and see if that's the amp for me or not. So in contrast, what's a Super Reverb on Reverb? $6 grand for a Super. Crazy. People are crazy. I would expect to pay $2,500 off of Reverb for one, maybe. Yeah. Give me one with a aged grill cloth, though. None of this. Oh, it's got to have... Super would have to have the Alnicos, too. I don't really like the ceramics. Maybe they still sound good, but I just prefer the Alnicos. They're all local pickup. Yeah, I definitely understand why. Replaced baffle board, that's tough. It's got the original speakers, honestly. It's not a big... It's probably an upgrade. The baffle boards on those are pretty bad. It's not bad. It looks like they kept the original vintage grill cloth and all that. It's fine when it's original, though. Let's see, is it a drip edge black blind like mine? No. And that's a no for me, dog. No. Yeah, I think they have had a bit of a spike. You're right. I just think they're incredible value for the money. But if I had to choose between both of them, I could get a Super Reverb any day of the week locally for not much money. So for that reason, we're going Vibrolux Reverb. I paid $1,200 for mine, and I felt like I didn't get that great of a deal. So I think I'd go with the Vibrolux. Or maybe a Deluxe. I've never spent much time with a Blackface Deluxe. I don't know. I'd like to see, but I think this is where we're at. Let's see what the price is for all this stuff. So we got 24 grand. It's 8,500. Let's call it 5 grand. 4 grand. Another grand. So we got about 2,500 bucks left, and that would cover. So we got basically all the sounds here: Vox, Tweed, Blackface, Marshall. This 4 grand. I mean, this is interchangeable. This could be easily a full stack, or sorry, a half stack 2203, 2204, a 1959 JMP 100 watt. All of those I think could be covered by this, but. And then pedal wise, the musts would be this. Whoops. Yeah, wow, $1,000. What the heck? What do they actually sell for? Last I looked, they were in like the $600 range. Oh yeah, we're on page 1, so it keeps going. I like the 90s ones a lot. That's what I have. I have another friend that has one. Sounds great. So it looks like they kind of start in the low 5s. I like the pointy knobs the best. Those are my favorite. Geez, that one's beat up. Wow, these are all in not great shape. You can you see mine? I'll do this right there. I am planning on doing a video where I try and calibrate it and mess with the trim pots inside. A lot of people warned me not to do that, but I think it's going to be a fun, interesting video. I mean, I'm just going to mark where it was originally, and I'm sure I can figure I'm just going to do it by ear. I know I'm not going to mess with all the trim pots, just I think the gain to try and get it a bit washier sounding, like some of them get. I guess I would have to just go with one of these 2000s ones. That's fine. Gonna kind of speed run this. Because what I want to get to, if you guys are still going to hang around for a little bit longer, is I would like to build this out for at least one or two more of you guys. All right, what other pedals would I have to get? I use the amps gain for most of my gain sounds when I play. How about you guys? Do you guys use pedal gain, or do you use like cleaner amps with pedals, or do you do it where you like roll back the volume? I just kind of, it makes things way more difficult to do it the way I do it, the more vintage way, where I kind of, all my clean sounds is with the volume. Just makes things way harder, but I just really like the sound. I like the interaction and you know, me having to kind of ride the volume. I like that more than just stepping on a pedal personally. So I don't use a ton of pedals. I just use them for boosts. So my go-to has been this Analog Man modded Maxon, which is this thing right here. It's on my board. Big fan of this pedal. Sounds great. My only complaint is it doesn't quite have enough volume, the Tube Screamer side, but just a Tube Screamer works. Like, I don't love them. Like, I'm not obsessed with them, but they just work in most situations. Like, you just, especially get a Fender amp. I did a session, had my Vibrolux reverb, and we just literally turned on the Tube Screamer, and that was it. We did nothing else, and it sounded amazing. So it's kind of nice. They just work really well with most stuff. They also cut out the bass on like the on the Tweeds and the Marshalls and stuff. They cut that low end flub a little bit, so they're good. And this is a Bad Bob boost right here, which is like a full range boost. It gets kind of fuzzy, crazy if you turn it up, but really nice. So honestly, I'd get by with just that for gain and the amp gain. If I have the PS100 to give me the solo boost, because it's got the 2 channels. So that, I would be sorted there. This covers most of, I would basically do this. I would get one other pedal here. I love this pedal. I've fallen in love with it. It's become a huge part of my sound since getting it. Highly recommend. And really what's great about it is it lets me kind of just use the Memory Man for what it's good at, which is just being vibey and full of character. Versus I used to try and do all my delay sounds with the Memory Man and bend down and switch everything up every song. Now I have kind of my main sounds with the Halo, and then I just let the Memory Man kind of do a specific washy sound. So I think I'd be good with this. I wouldn't need reverb. This is stereo pedal if I wanted to go stereo. And I guess I would need this. I would need a little dual. I've never played the Deco. I do have a Flint on my board, and it's great. And I was going to add that just to have a little bit of variety. I'm a big modulation fan, but I could survive without it if I had to. But we're doing good on price. I think we're actually going to be perfect. So this allows me to run the 2 pedals, or sorry, the 2 amps, no problem. I can do kind of a wet dry thing. I can do effects loop stuff, effects after. I can do all sorts of things with that. So I would probably do a Boss VB2. Damn, people want that much for an original? What's the cheapest original? $500. Sure, why not? Imperial Vintage. This is my favorite modulation effect, vibrato. Mine is so noisy. I have the VB2W, the Wazacraft one. It's so noisy. It's like, it's not great, but it sounds very good. So last thing I would do would be a Strem & Flint. I have the V1. It's totally fine. Nothing wrong with it. All right, I think we're at the finish line here, folks. We just got to make some hard decisions on the guitars. We'll look at my pedal board, see if there's anything else I'd want. I'd have to have one of those too. Expression wheel. It's the exact one I have on my board, actually. This to control the halo, the mix. I use phaser a lot. I guess I'd throw a phaser on there. We got the money. Phase 95. $40 drive pedals. Keeley Oxblood. I've not heard of that one. That's a lot of drive pedals. Goodness. I've got another pedal I just thought of too. I'd have to have. I need a fuzz of some sort. Oops. And I would get the basic audio Scarab. Are there really no... Ah, there we go. All right, I'll have to have a power supply. I would get a, if I had to do it over again, Jox, I think it's DC7. What's their main one? Their like strongest one. It's not 8, I don't think. It's 7, isn't it? Yeah, it's the 7. Then I'd just get some kind of flat pedal board. I'm not going to do that on here. Okay, there's my $100,000 rig. Let's run the numbers here, folks. First, I got to make a decision, hard decision. If I go with this guitar, I'd have another 20K to play with. No, my heart says this one. Let's do... All right, let's run the numbers. So we got 43 plus 3.8 plus 4.3 plus 15 plus 8. That gives us 74,000. Let's do the amps now. plus 8.5 plus 5 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3.5. So we're at 96,000. So we got $4,000 with the pedals, which we're under. So there you go. Okay. There you go. 96 plus all those pedals. We're probably at, what's this? 500, another 1,000, 2, 4, 6, 7, another 1,000. We're probably just a hair under. We're probably like 98,000. So there's my rig. For those just joining, there you go. If I had $100,000 plus shipping, most of them are free shipping or $100, whatever. See, free shipping, $100, $100, $600. That one's a little wild. That's in the UK. We'll figure that one out. But there's wiggle room. There's like $2,000. So there you go. There's my rig. If I had to start over, I lost everything. This is way less stuff than I have now. Way less stuff. But I feel like I would go for a top level vintage Holy Grail instrument. I think I would do it if I, had 100K check to spend. I wouldn't do it any other circumstance, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. You got a junior. I don't have a humbucker guitar. Shoot, I just realized that. Oh, what would I do? I would do this. I'd get this guy. I've been eyeing this thing. I think this is so sick. So there's the other $4,000 I would have to cut back on. I'd swap this out. I wouldn't care that much about the Castadosa. I'd go with the Revolta and be fine. Even though these are, we already mentioned, these are awful, the changes they made. Do they have, there's really not a single. All right, let's do this. Show only sold. Looks like ketchup. Don't be a hater. There you go. This is what I do. I'd get my same one. I think it's a great guitar for the money. Bam. Okay, we're back under. We're back under budget. All right, there you go. Thoughts? Is anyone still around? Did I lose everybody? I'm pretty happy with this. I think this would be a pretty incredible setup. You got everything covered. I mean, I don't have a Strat, but who cares? I got all the amp stuff covered. I don't have a low wattage amp, but I've got a power station, so that covers that. All the pedals, I mean, that's most of my pedal board I have now. It would either be, honestly, if I'm being honest, it wouldn't be this. It would be probably a 335 reissue. Just a standard 64 reissue with the Bigsby maybe. But some kind of humbucker reissue guitar. Let's just say that. I don't like acoustic guitars, I'm gonna be honest. I just I I like when other people play them. I've just never been interested. I don't even know what an expensive acoustic guitar costs. Like, you know, what range are they? Yeah, no, already changing my mind. No, I'm pretty good at this. Some humbucker reissue. Let's just call this a placeholder because I didn't look very long. I just had this one because I saw it the other day. I really like the wrap tail stuff, so something like that, or I would probably end up with basically this in a reissue, which I'd be fine with. Pretty good. There's no boutique. Oh, well, I guess Danocaster is kind of boutique. There's no boutique amps on here, all vintage stuff. Oof, God, honestly, it'd be so hard to do this without the Sir PT. It's already wrong. I have to have the PT15. Unless they finally came out with the 50 watt version. That's the amp over my shoulder here. I'd have to have one of those. I use it so much. Wow, that's a serious commitment for a 12 string. Do you play a lot of 12 string? How much is this? 1,800 bucks. Okay, I think we're just at budget now because I think we were $2,000 under. Because that's direct out. This can run, you know, directly into the PA or your computer or whatever. I use it all the time. In fact, let's hear it real quick. We've been talking for long enough. Let's just hear it really quick. there's that annoying noise in the background that's just like the USB power distortion, whatever, filtering issue or something going on with the whole setup I have right now. But yeah, it sounds great. Just there's no overdrive pedals. That was just the cleaner of the two dirty channels I had set up. This is the clean channel. It's kind of more crunch setup right now. Let's see, it makes the headstock look like it wants to snap. That's funny. Well, it's already had a headstock break, so I honestly, I'm the worst like person to just start playing stuff. That's just not me. I need like context, so I never know what to do with these sort of things. So I just kind of end up defaulting to playing nonsense. So I'm gonna play some more nonsense for you. This is the clean channel now. It's, oops, the P90 really drives this amp, even if it's like the gain right now is on 1, but the master is pretty loud, so it just really drives it, which is kind of interesting. Oops, you couldn't hear that. One more try. So yeah, that's again the gain on channel 1, the clean channel is literally on 1, but the level's all the way up, so it's just kind of overdriving the actual master volume of it. The PT15 is complicated. It's got 3 master volumes on it. The master volume is on like 6 or 7, so it's not all the way wide open, but it's only 15 watt amp too. So hey Dwayne, no, so it's just a direct out of the PT15, and that's running into the little dual here, the Lele switcher, and then that is running into the Halo and the Flint. So I'll just show what that sounds like if we want some crazy stereo ambiance. Ignore the weird noise going in the background, it's just all the USB stuff kind of messing it up. I was really curious what the the Naga Viper would sound like there. The treble booster sounds pretty wild through the clean channel. Don't normally run it through the clean channel. I'll do the clean channel and then I'll do the overdriven channel. Just and that's why I don't run it into the clean channel normally. It actually sounded cool with the tube screamer boosting it. Anyways, I'm playing absolute nonsense and absolute garbage because it's very weird to play by yourself on a stream like this, but whatever. Whatever. Who cares? I hope the audio came through okay. I tested it earlier and it sounded okay, but anyways, yeah, I'm just experimenting here, and I thought it would be interesting to be able to have decent guitar audio on a live stream. And there's no way I can do it with the amps, unfortunately. But through the SIR, it sounds good. What's up, Worship Artistry? What's up? How you doing, man? All right, so here was our masterpiece that we created together. Now I want to turn it over to you guys. I want to hear what you would do. Oh, you're fine, Lou. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, the GA40. Gosh, just sitting there. So sad in my garage right now. So sad. That amp needs a lot of love. I was supposed to work on another guy's too, and I was going to do both of them together and make it a little series, and he ended up backing out. I think the amp suddenly started working again or whatever. So that was kind of a bummer because that was going to be a good excuse to go back to mine. It's just hard to justify putting more time into it. I've got such limited time to do anything. I basically have finished up all of my amp tech projects. I've got one other customer. It's an old Alltech PA unit actually, but he's ordering parts for it, so it's just kind of in limbo. But I have a kid due in the beginning of March, the first week of March. So I'm kind of pulling back a little bit from all of the amp tech stuff and just YouTube videos in general, just because it's so hard to do. This is kind of my little window, if you will, but my garage is 50 degrees right now, so I can't really film another one of those talking to the camera type videos I've been doing with the vintage stuff and the digital stuff and the relic conversations. I've really enjoyed doing those actually, but it's hard to do when you're shivering. So what did you guys think of that, by the way, of those videos? I'll pull it up real quick. Those are two very different problem childs, I think. That super was something. The super was just, I mean, I don't really honestly know how you would how anybody would really be able to decipher that was the issue uh, without kind of running into the same problem I had, where it seemed to work perfectly fine. And, there was no leakage on the top board that was causing that problem. It was on the underside of the top board, not even the bottom board where it had voltage in it. I took that thing apart. I mean, I spent so much time on that thing. That was a lot. And I don't know. That was an interesting one for sure. But the GA40, it's just such a mess inside. Honestly, part of the reason why I haven't started working on it is I just feel like I need to redo it all. I feel like I need to take it completely apart and redo everything in it, because there's like layers of components stacked on top of each other. So to like reach resistors I need to get to, I have to remove a bunch of stuff on the top layer. So I might as well just redo it all. There's really nothing precious in there. It's already been worked on. And I just think I can do a much cleaner job than what was done in it. But it's going to just take a lot of time. So enjoy the Amtech stuff. You guys like them? Yeah. It's been great weather here in Southern California, but it's been pouring rain this past couple days. It's been raining all day today, and yesterday it was raining. So, and it just gets pretty cold in my garage. So 60 in your house, holy cow. No, thank you. Well, I would bundle up more, but since we have a 1.5-year-old, I got to kind of keep it pretty neutral. But the garage, when it gets in the 50s, I can't solder very well. I want to be really careful with everything I do. And so soldering in the 50s, I don't really trust myself to do a great job. And then I can't sit in a chair and talk. So with these videos, just sitting there talking, I can't do it I tried doing one time and I was like very visibly cold, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'll wait. I've got a lot of video ideas for that, a lot of topics I want to cover. A lot of ones that I think are kind of fun conversations to have with people. I don't know. The reception was pretty good overall to the 3 I did. You have a 61, 64A. Yeah. I mean, they're not. The harmonic trem is pretty complicated on them. 9 out of 10 amps are not going to have more than 9 out of 10. It's going to be, or less than 9 out of 10. It's going to be like, I would say 95 out of 100 are not going to have that issue that Super had. I've run into many Fenders that have a little bit of leakage on the board, or a little conductivity on the board. It's not a big deal. Most of the time it's in places where it doesn't matter, and it's very quick fix with just some isopropyl and a heat gun, for example. Not a big deal. That one was just somehow moisture on the underside of the top board. So, and some Fenders get so bad, I've heard, that you just have to replace the board itself. Some people put in like an oven and cook it, and which is crazy. And I guess sometimes that won't even fix it, in which case you got to just replace the board, which would be very, very devastating and very expensive. You have to rebuild everything. I am so soft since moving to where I live. I live very close to the beach. So we used to live just a 10-minute walk from the beach for a couple of years. And we moved a bit more inland into this house when my wife was pregnant with our daughter. So we knew we needed more space. So we're just we went from a 10-minute walk to maybe a 10-minute drive from the beach. But I work in downtown in the city by the beach here. So I've become very soft since living here. I've become a coastal elite, as my dad likes to say, just because of just the weather's so consistently nice. Although it did suck living so close to the beach, because you get all of those socked in gloomy days, June glooms, which just bum me out. But where we live now, it's like the direct line where all the cloud cover stops. So it's beautiful and sunny where we live. And then I drive 5 minutes inland to work, and to the coast for work, and it's just gray and nasty. So that sucks. But fix your Fender kit. Yeah, I wonder how his Marshall stuff's been doing. I know he's put a lot of work into those. I'm out of the loop on those model Marshalls, so I don't know how big of a market that is, but for him to do it must be a lot of opportunity. So yeah, these videos, I'm just curious, more thoughts from you guys. What you know, did you agree, disagree with any of these? Any pushback? We can chat about live. I will say, I guess we can just kind of open some of the comments. Some of the comments are fun. What are some fun comments? I haven't said anything. Just so you guys know, I tend to heart everything. I don't necessarily agree with what's said if I heart it, but it's just kind of a marker of like, hey, I see you, and acknowledging that I see your comment. So let's read this because I haven't responded to this guy. I like tube amps, but the problem is that they really need to be sized to the room you're playing. If you're playing in the same place all the time, this isn't a big deal, but if you are out gigging and playing a lot of different places or spaces, this could be an issue. Digital can allow you to have access to different settings without many different amps. I think a modeler with a speaker setup, not just relying on direct PA, is good compromise. That said, I will always prefer a tube amp if possible. Yeah, I don't disagree with this in a lot of ways. I think the best setup in the terms of maximum flexibility would be a digital rig with a analog speaker setup of your own. Analog speaker, that's a weird way to say that, of having a power amp and a speaker of your own that's pointed towards the audience, so you have some stage volume. I just have seen so many gigs and witnessed friends having this issue where you just can't hear them at all because they're going direct and the sound guy's asleep at the wheel. So I just think having an amp on stage is also, you lose so much of the vibe of live music. I think when you run all digital, everything through the PA, there's a definite different feel and sound to live gigs when you can hear their stage volume to them. I think it's kind of a big missing piece when I see a lot of live bands now that are all digital. There's just that something missing. I'm always like, I can't really put my finger on what it is, and to me, that is the thing that I attribute. Yeah, I haven't worked on any mesas. I wouldn't accept one, to be honest. I don't have the skill level to tackle that. Oof, that's gnarly, Matt. Man, that sucks on a 5e3 too, huh? Enjoy your take on buying vintage. People, yeah, you know what's interesting is this one I thought was going to generate like, you know, a little pushback. I thought I made pretty logical points. This one I've talked about in lots of videos and past live streams about wanting to do this video, and I had planned to do this giant deep dive into this where I was going to like really highly produced and everything, but I realized this is honestly a better format for these kind of videos. It's more of a discussion, and so I decided to do it this way instead, because I was going to pull out the example speakers I showed in the video. In fact, I'm trying to think. I pulled them up, right? Yeah. So to really show, because I actually filmed myself opening the box here with this vintage C10N. I filmed myself opening it just in case there was something wrong with the speaker, just to cover myself with the buyer, or the seller rather. And yeah, so you got to see me like just realize, oh my gosh, these valuable rare speakers are just absolutely destroyed in the devastation. So I had that. I had other speaker content I had, and guitar stuff and amp stuff I was going to put together. But really, I actually prefer doing it this way. It's A, way easier for me, but B, I think it's just better as a conversation style. But yeah, I love vintage gear, obviously. That should be very clear. I mean, let's again look at my 100K budget board here. Of all the stuff I get, that's, you know, if I had 100K blank check for everything, vintage, 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 vintage. I love vintage gear, but I also just know it's a bad idea for most people. And, you know, there's a good chance of you having major problems. So I just don't think it's worth it for the vast, vast majority of people. The vast majority. You have to really, really love vintage gear, not not go into it expecting to get the best thing, the best sounding guitar, best sounding amp, the best playing guitar, best playing amp, whatever else, most reliable. You can't go into it wanting that. You'll be better off with modern stuff. It's definitely the praise and worship stuff on Sunday is really, it's really normalized the silent stage. I agree with that. So many people I know that gig play at churches as well, and so it's just kind of become the de facto standard. And I used to hang on to I had a quad Cortex I hung on to specifically for those types of gigs, and I just stopped doing them for various reasons. But I do have the Sir I can go direct with if need be, but I don't know. I think it's only hurt the mixes. I think everything sounds so much worse now. You have to, I mean, if you got a professional sound guy that knows the sound you're going for, then yes, obviously it's more ideal. But that's such an exception that it's to optimize around that exception. That's just not the case for the vast majority of situations. I just don't think it was the move, and I've seen it completely ruin church service sound, like the mix and everything, from going like from something more raw that has just more impact, and then switching over to the highly produced silent stage with tracks and everything. It just kills it. Just kills all the good stuff. Well, that's the thing too, Moosey. Like, I try and say this, like, there's always going to be exceptions to anything I say. Somebody somewhere is going to have a very specific situation that will contradict what I'm saying. I'm speaking in generalities. I tried to make that very clear with all of these videos. You know, I can't make a video that's going to perfectly address everybody's situation, but I can make a video that talks about the majority of cases. Speaker duct tape to the back of a guitar for feedback. What? Gotta roll the tone down. For sure. Yeah. I mean, I like plugging straight into a tube amp as well. The problem is that the gigs I play and the songs we play, they require more than that. You know, they require a certain delay, trem, phaser sometimes. I get all the gain from my amps pretty much, other than like solo stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the T-tops can be very bright, not have a lot of push to them, not a ton of character. Tom Doyle pickups are pretty special. Yeah, so I've got the Doyle coil still on my gold top since I did that video. I've fallen out of love with them a little bit, to be honest, Lou. I don't play that guitar a ton anymore. It's very bright. It's just a very bright guitar. It's very light too, so I think naturally it's just acoustically a bright guitar. And I love the look of it. I love the double whites. I know putting covers on would darken it a bit. I don't really want to do that. I have also the Doyle coil pickups company, as it were. They just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I did that video for them. I know I sold a ton of pickups for them, a ton. I know personally 4 or 5 people that bought them from me, or just after, you know, seeing my video. And I paid for those pickups. They didn't have any involvement in it, but they like reached out to me and they wanted to offer me a wiring harness and like a t-shirt. I was like, sweet, yeah, that'd be rad, thank you. I gave them my address, and then they like basically blew me off, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. It wasn't Tom that I worked with. It was somebody else. I think he was a younger guy. Yeah, I know they do their like relic time machine Doyle guitars or whatever. I think he's been doing that for a while too. Yeah, they're good pickups. I think the covers on them were pretty poor, not very high quality, but they're just very bright, very bright. And I think to get the most out of them, I'd have to swap the harness, because the stock harness custom shop harness from 2018, what they were using when that guitar was made, just wasn't the best. I think it could use some new pots and some caps to optimize around the rollback tone, because I keep the tone rolled back on that guitar a good bit, probably maybe around 5, just to fatten it up a little bit. Even still, it's very bright. That's one thing I always struggle with, to be honest, is brightness. A lot of my sound is, it's like I go back and forth of being too bright and not bright enough. I haven't really ever found the perfect balance for me, but I do like my custom shop. What's on my shoulder? The Les Paul Custom. That guitar is a lot warmer sounding than the Gold Top, and it's with the P90 and the bridge, and then also with no maple cap, it's just kind of got a fatter sound to it naturally, which I think I really dig P90 pickups. Custom buckers are great too. Yeah. Undertone variety cap cable. I've never even heard of that. Undertone variety cap cable. Let's Google search that. VariCap. $120. This is like a buffer, variable buffer in it or something. Let's change the capacitance of the cable. So it's adding capacitance to it versus going the opposite direction. I think I can switch to a desktop audio. We can hear it real quick.
A new product, some new technology from Undertone Audio that I am really, really excited about. Let me plug in the variable capacitance instrument cable. So here it is. Got an extra little box, near one end. I like to keep it near the guitar, so it's really handy. I can just reach down and make adjustments on it. I'm just going to strum, and my helper here is going to just advance through the settings so you can hear it slowly increase. It's a big difference, and all of that tonal change is entirely done with just the cable. It's really a whole new, very, very important piece of the puzzle for designing a guitar sound.
That's interesting. Changing the 150 picofarad to 1650 and 1500 picofarad steps. That's pretty nerdy. So once you find the value you want, then I guess you could just get cables that have that capacitance already, right? It's kind of like you ever seen the variable treble bleed circuits that you can put in that have a little trim pot? You can kind of dial it in. It's kind of what it makes me think of. That's cool. What will they think of next? That reamps the signal through a chunk of wood to filter out the highs. Reamps it through a chunk of wood. Based off your comments, Lou, it seems like you like very dark tones. I've never gotten into boutique cables. That's one thing I haven't really dabbled with at all. Let's see if this is coming.
Destroyed in shape.
It is, okay. Trying to set up all this OBS stuff so that next time it's smoother. Hide. Pretty happy with how everything's gone so far, though. I've made several cables, but I honestly don't even know what the capacitance is or what the rating is for the cable. I did it for the colors. I wanted different colored cables for to know, because I was running 2 amps. I wanted a blue cable and a red cable for the 2 different amps, and then my guitar cable is pretty much always white. Red, white, and blue. Let's see if there's anything interesting on Craigslist. You guys can join me in my obsessive Craigslist searches I do. See if there's anything interesting. I'll show you a cool guitar that just popped up on Reverb. How do I find my watch list? There we go. Check this thing out. I don't know if I love it or I hate it. I can't decide. Silverburst Murphy Lab, but it's a 54 spec custom. So you got a staple neck pickup and a bridge P90. So I really think my custom paved the way for all these very weird made to measure versions, because I've never in my life seen a made to measure 54 custom in anything, you know, any different color or anything. And then all of a sudden, they just started coming up everywhere. I've seen some really cool ones. This one, again, I can't decide. Like, I normally don't like Silver Burst at all, but I think it looks better with the P90 setup. Obviously, the hardware's too gold and shiny. That would age. And maybe gold was the wrong choice in the first place. Probably should have been silver, but regardless. Kind of interesting. There's another one that was cool. Let's see if I can find it. There's one that's got crazy, like, Supreme inlays. There's a Koa one. Look at this. That's pretty crazy. There's another one, though. Small custom. There's this one. Again, you never saw these ever. All of a sudden, there's a bunch of them. This is a VOS one, like mine. How much do they want for it? $8,000. Good Lord. Maybe it's sold. Oh, here it is. $8,500. It's my guitar, just with Super 400 inlays, which I actually don't. I would like that more in theory, but I don't actually like it as much in the photos. The Stinger is sick, though. I love the Stinger with the waffle back tuners. I don't know. I think it looks too busy on this guitar. I think I prefer just the straight blocks. I'm going to grab mine real quick. So it's not exact. Looks like the same color they did, but yeah, I don't know. You tell me, which one do you like more? I'm obviously a little biased, but I think I would take the standard looking custom. It is crazy, $8,000. So like, this is an example with the insurance stuff. Going back to this, the 100K. You know, I have this guitar insured for $10,000. This one right here, as replacement value, because for me to go to the made to measure program and order my own is going to be close to $10,000. So that's why, you know, that's how you get to the 100K. What did I pay? I paid less than half that for the guitar, but replacement value would be closer to 10, which is what I put. Less bit. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a cleaner look. It's a very classy looking guitar. I love this thing. It plays great, sounds great. It's got stainless steel frets on it, so it plays really nice. Aren't the government series that green? Oh, the olive drab one. It looks too new. I think as this one ages, it will look pretty cool, but it looks too new. I mean, the black looks great too. There's nothing wrong with the black ones. I just really think the white is cool in this. I will say I would love if this had a Bigsby on it, but I don't have the guts to throw a Bigsby on it. I think a Bigsby on a Les Paul's so cool. I've got two friends with them. I played a real 59 Les Paul custom with the Bigsby 3 pickup. The Bigsby's just adds such a cool factor, and this one's not super heavy, so it actually would be a decent candidate for a Bigsby, but you know, you can't go back once you drill on it, and I don't like the look of the Vibramate stuff, so you'd have to go for it. And I don't have the balls, to be honest. But if I were to look for a vintage one, you know, I did this one, but if they had one at the Bigsby, I'd choose that every time over the hardtail If somebody's already done the work, already done it, then I'd rather have that for sure. European road signs. Let's see, anything else on Craigslist? I'll show you guys some of the stuff I'm looking at. I'm not in the market to buy anything, but just I like to keep an eye on what's going on. Honestly, when I do this myself, I'm just like this because my eye will catch something. Bigsby on your Josh Williams 335 style. Yeah. Great guitar, by the way. That's very cool. What's the specs on it? I know Josh. I mean, we're not friends, but acquaintances. I've been to his shop before. Hung out with him. After NAMM, too. That's where we first met. I know several friends that have his guitars. Tremolux. What do they want for it? 2K. That's not bad. Looks pretty clean. I think that the Tremolux just does nothing for me, though. Vibrolux without reverb. 210 configuration. Close back. That's just not it for me. Oh, that's very cool. That's awesome. Wait, so is it an older one then? Like when he was first doing videos? I looked at this earlier because I got a GA40, as I mentioned before. Mine's the first gen. It's a 53. It's a 56. It's a second gen. His price is absolutely dumb. But then he also says, you can kind of see it here, like what's going on there? Where did he say it? One side covered by recent paper since a previous owner had a paint spill. Oof. Yeah, I'm out. But that price is so absurd. Also the photos. What am I supposed to do with this? Yeah, they're good value, but I just don't think they're that interesting. Just not a big fan. I've got that beautiful 64 blonde Bandmaster head and cab. It's a cool amp, but like they don't really add anything. The heads over the combos. In fact, they subtract. They got typically less gain without the reverb. Harley Benton does a PRS copy. I've never seen that before. That's crazy. Wow. I had no idea. Wow, Serial 60. That's awesome. Those early ones are very cool. Like I said, I have a friend that I know somebody has the first Mockingbird. I've got a friend that's got like one of the first 10. I've played many of them. Really cool guitars. I really appreciate that they're the correct size, same size as a vintage. That's the thing I can't get behind with Collings is the smaller bout width they did. I just don't like it all. Great guitars, although almost too good, almost too perfect, if you know what I mean. Josh Williams, they've got a bit more soul to them, maybe the ones I've played, but I like my Gibson reissues just fine. And I'm a bit of a name snob. It means something to me. It shouldn't, but it does. I have to admit it. 92014. Nice. Where's that at? Not much of a gear shopper. You're better than most. Harley they make copies themselves. I love that. Let's see where that is. Oh, San Diego. 92014, San Diego. Awesome. What part of San Diego? Del Mar. Cool. Yeah, I'm in Oceanside. Solana Beach. Nice. It's fun to just keep an eye on, see what pops up. It's very rare that anything interesting at a realistic price comes up. It's extraordinarily rare, like once every few months maybe, that I catch something cool. Most of the time it's absolute junk as we scroll through all this stuff. But every once in a while you see something cool. And I'll show you what I have saved that I would consider cool. So first up, we got a beautiful candy apple red Stratocaster 6465. Looks very nice, extremely clean. Says it's not a refin. Can't really tell without taking the neck off, or taking the plate off rather. You know, the glow thing can be fake. That doesn't really do it. But yeah, 18K. I don't know. I have no idea what the value is of something like that. 18K seems low though. Although candy apple red is the least desired custom color, I imagine. Vibrolux reverb. I got one. Just curious. $3,900. That's a lot. We were talking about these earlier. I don't think he's around anymore, but the 2204s. This was one I was watching, looking at just a little bit. Vertical input. Mid 80s. I would love one of these. This one's beat up, but not in a bad way. No additional holes. Oh, it does have an effects loop right there. Is this the, which version is that? Yeah, that's a good effects loop, so it's not the worst thing. I hate when they drilled over the lettering. That always bothers me. But not a bad price. Slush and blue. You don't see these very often. Original cone. Looks pretty good. What do they want? $500? Yeah. Not too crazy. This is very cool. What's up, Jay? We're just looking at Craigslist stuff, local stuff to me. That I thought was interesting. Stuff I had saved. I think these are so cool. Look at the neckwear. See another picture of it? No, it doesn't. You can see right here the gold's worn away and got that green. 3 a.m. Wow, dang. Thanks for hanging out, man. Have a good night. Unfortunate thing on this is this gnarly crack right here. Happens a lot with these bigger Gibson hollow bodies. I don't know the value of this thing. I have no idea. I would never touch it for 13K, but super cool. Now $295. This is the the Elvis guitar, right? Elvis's guitar player. I think so. I don't know. I don't know a ton about these models. Oh, that was just the candy apple red Strat. 64, 65, 18K. And this is a very special amplifier, if you know anything about these. First reverb amps. 10 grand. It's got the correct original speakers. Pretty remarkable, actually. Look at that. It looks really good. That all looks original. This looks 100% original based off these photos. That's pretty amazing. An all original vibroverb. That's a crazy find. That's such, I would love to, I don't have any purpose or use for an amp like this, but just to document. I don't think there's been a ton of documentation about these sort of things. I think that'd be really cool. Pretty special. All original is very, very neat. Or at least mostly original. Power supply. So recap to the doghouse. I hate when people write in all caps like this. I immediately check out. I'm out. But yeah, very cool. Very rare amp. Incredibly rare. Probably one of the rarest amps I've ever seen on Craigslist, actually. Yeah, all the carbon comps are there. All the sprayed caps. Really nice. That's a special amp. I don't think it'll ever sell, but special amp. PRS, just a birth year guitar, 1994. You know, people do that birth year thing, like, oh, you know, I got to get my 65 Strat or something for my birth year. And there's really nothing that interesting in 1994. You got basically the really early Gibson reissue Les Pauls that usually have like the crazy flame tops, but are, you know, not super accurate. There's those. People want tons of money for those. There's matchless, very early matchless stuff. And then there's PRS stuff. That's kind of it. Unless you guys know of anything else in 94 that was going on that was cool. I'm not a PRS guy, never have been, but it's kind of a pretty guitar. I have a buddy that just got one that looks almost identical to this, but has a trem on it. And I think his is a 96 or something. Brazilian rosewood board and whatnot. Very cool. Not my style, but just looking at it. Speakers. If I lived in LA, I would grab these immediately. I love these speakers. I want more. Look in decent shape. Not great, honestly, but 225, talking down, been sitting for a month. Be great to have backups for my Super. I'd also like to hear him in the Vibrolux. I think that would be interesting. Only 200 of those. Wow, Matt, that's crazy. I just don't see people paying 10 grand for amps right now, but maybe we'll get it. The Strat. I don't have a ton of experience with 70s Gibsons. I do with Fenders, and they were all terrible. I have yet to play a good 70s Fender, except for, I take it back, a Tele Deluxe. I played a good Tele Deluxe. It weighed a lot, though. Yeah, you know, Jay. Is this a good guitar? Do you know anything about the vintage PRSs? I mean, it is pretty. I really like that. I like the kind of no burst look to it. Yeah, the trem takes away a lot of that. 25K 2 years ago? Then why is that just sitting? Surely they haven't dropped by more than 50%, right? That's crazy. The Paul. And then this is the dark horse for me. We were talking about these earlier, Matt, the Jubilees. I really dig this. This is an 87 Jubilee. It's an original vintage one. Combo. I always associate the vintage or the Marshall combos as like cheap because I'm so used to seeing the DSL combos and stuff. And so I just always just mentally associate that with cheap for whatever reason. But this is cool. 212 combo. I'm sure it weighs 80 pounds. But 212 combos are kind of cool. AC30s are cool. They're easier to use than a head in a 412 for live stuff. Easier to move around at home. Whatever else. Not a terrible price. It looks like it's got the V30s in it too, which are better. He's pretty far away though. Way up there. So I'm here. So that's not happening. I just still really have a strong pull towards a Jubilee. For better or worse, I gotta try one. Heavy boy, yeah. I mean, is it going to weigh more than AC30? Probably, because the speakers are heavier, right? Two V30s. But probably in the same range. I mean, is it heavier than a Super Reverb, Matt? I mean, if it's not heavier than a Super Reverb, then it's fine. And then this is cool as hell. I've got no use for this at all. But look at this. It's a Vox column 410. Look at that. I just think that's so cool. Replacement Weber speakers, whatever. Looks like a crazy wiring job. Would not trust that. But I just think I just wanted just to have in my part of my background set up in the garage. 175, I bet he'd take $100. Oh, he has two of them. So he's got two columns. It's heavier than a Super Reverb, really. That's amazing. 95, no shot. No way. I'm going to guess they're like 75 pounds. 71 pounds. 71 pounds. No shot, 95. That'd be insane. All these kg. I need kg. I don't need kg. I need pounds. 50 is definitely not 54 pounds. There is it a 50 watt or a 100 watt? I thought it was a 50 watt. $50 watt. Yeah, these are 50 watt. I don't know if you can see that. I know they have a switch that's half power, but I think this is 50 watt or 100, or sorry, 25 watt and 50 watt. I think so. £71 is not bad. What does a Super Reverb weigh? Pretty close. You're not going to feel 5-6 pounds. Put some wheels on it. Yeah, I think these are sick. If you do two for $250, maybe. Oh yeah, you would obviously if they're $175 each. Maybe two for $200. You do two for $250 probably, right? Yeah, I don't have any use for them though. I just think they're sick. Add to my Vox collection. And then this is really cool. Beautiful Trini. I love this. So pretty. Like it's got a 115 volt sticker on it right here. That's pretty cool. I just can't yeah, you have to get a pair. I have a friend that has a single column and it's I mean it looks cool in the corner, but having a pair is where it's at. The problem with these is just the neck. Although it's a 70, I don't know what the 70s are like. Yeah, slim set neck. I just can't do the super. That's a sucky thing with Gibsons. It's like the necks are so small. Besides the golden era, that's just that little window when they're just so expensive, 40, 50 grand, you know. It's hard to do the really skinny nut width, skinny necks. I just can't really get into it. It's very pretty though. I love that. Better with the Bigsby. And then last but not least, the only other interesting thing on Craigslist I've seen is honestly looking at this more for a friend who's been in the market for one of these for a few years. 20 grand, 19 grand. Private party ain't happening, brother. 2 months sitting. Yeah, this is never going to sell. No chance. Looks nice though. Looks very nice. but nobody's paying $20,000 private party for one of these. I don't care what the internet says. Proof positive because it's just been sitting here, but it looks very nice. Here's a problem. Came from Emerald City. You know, that person that bought it from there, they overpaid by quite a bit, and now they're trying to get that back. But it is a nice guitar. These are very cool, just I think way overpriced. That's it. That's all the cool stuff on Craigslist. In fact, something's gone. What's gone? Oh, I don't know what we lost. Get a B3 too, Leslie. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. My gear buying days are over for probably a long time. I might be able to like move some stuff and kind of swap stuff in and out, but I don't think I'm getting anything new for a long time without moving stuff on. And like I got stuff I don't use, like the Strat. I don't want to sell the Strat because eventually I'm going to want a Strat again, and I'm not going to get one for the price I paid for that. That's going to be decent. I think I'm just going to swap the pickups and see if I like it after that. I do think I'm going to be selling my Vox AC10, not the SRT, but the regular AC10. I do think I'll be selling that, and I'll probably parlay that into like a 2204 or Silver Jubilee or something like that. Because I just have no use for that AC10 other than it's just very cool looking. Not more time to play. I got a 1.5-year-old and I got another baby due in 2 weeks. So I've amassed my collection in anticipation of not being able to do that much anymore, just because all of my time and focus and money will be going elsewhere, which is totally fine. I'm very excited to have a second kid. So that'll be great. But and I'm very proud of the collection I've created too. Like, it's amazing all the stuff I've been able to amass. I own a freaking 59 Bassman. That's insane. That's absolutely insane that I own a 59 Bassman, a 64 AC30, a AC10 SRT. All that stuff is like mind-boggling. So I feel very, very lucky to have that stuff. Everything else, outside of like those are very cool to have, but they're not like, I wouldn't lose too much sleep over losing any of those. Like the Vibrolux Reverb, great amp. I'm not nearly as attached to that as I am to the Vox and the Bassmans, or the Voxes and the Bassman. Sorry, I'm so tired. The Marshall is awesome, but I'm not nearly as attached to that as I am those amps. I still really want that damn 310 Bandmaster. That's a whole other thing. I could pick up those Super Reverb speakers. Oh, really? That's interesting. Do you have Instagram, Dwayne? If you have Instagram, shoot me a message and maybe we can work something out. I'll put my Instagram in the chat. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way? I'm trying to talk quiet because I don't want to wake up my daughter. Shoot me a message, Dwayne, if you have Instagram, and we can talk about it. Because, yeah, I've been looking at this for a while. It's been sitting for about a month. That's over a month. It says since the 6th. It's been a month and a week. Just looking at them, because I don't know what they're worth. I don't think they're worth that much. But it'd just be nice to have another set of those. Especially playing the super loud. I can imagine they would not handle that for too much longer. I don't know. What do you think, Matt? You're the super reverb guru here. I mean, the cones don't look perfect. It looks like they re-glued the dust caps. I had to do the same on mine, so that's no big deal. Something going on there. They look dirty, but I mean, they're not like precious speakers in the first place. They're just great sounding speakers. I really like them. I don't know if there's any difference between the 70s ones and the 60s ones, but probably not. you know, if you do for like, I mean, 225 for 4 speakers is nothing. You can't, you know, you can hardly get 2 Webers for that. You can't get you can get 1 Scumbag for that. You know what I mean? Like, if he would do one, I don't know, 170 maybe. See if the frames are bent. Yeah. Well, here I am not taking my own advice that I said to you guys in the video. In this video right here, right where it's saved, me talking about me getting screwed buying vintage speakers and telling you don't do it. And I swore I would not do it because it's such a bad idea. Well, here I am contemplating doing it. Just because it, you know, the hard part with speakers is they're such a big part of the sound. They just are. They're maybe the biggest part of the sound, the biggest effect on the sound. And once you've tasted the sound of the vintage speakers, it's really hard to go to modern ones unless they're really broken in. So, and the CTS on Nikos just sound so good. They sound so good. So, I don't know. Dirt Mill is the tone, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't need. I guess I would look at it as a price of like, if I had to replace. Let's just look this up real quick. Let's go. Yeah, so single Weber speaker, any other model is gonna be $100, $130 each. That's 1 speaker. So wouldn't it be better to have 4 spares, and even if only 2 of them work for 175, 200? Yeah, that's what I just think. And I think these are better sounding speakers. Not maybe individually, but in a quad. Yeah, JBLs. Yeah, those are tough, man. That's a very specific sound. I know those, of all the speakers, those are one of the worst with recones, right? Unless somebody's doing a new cone for them or something. Oh, I gotta share this. If I can find it. My buddy sent me this over. This is the most insane amp ever. Where is it? Oh, yeah, check this thing out. This is a crazy amp, and somebody should buy this, but I'm not going to. Look at this freaking thing. So this is a quad reverb. So it's a 412 combo, which let's just stop there. Imagine buying a 412 combo. Imagine selling a 412 combo. How do you carry this thing? How much does this thing weigh? Ignoring it's got 4 freaking JBL D120s in it. Orange frame. Look how beautiful this is. I consider buying it just for the speakers. If they were D110s, I would buy it. If this was a super reverb, I would buy it to try those speakers. Probably I would take 2 and put them in the Vibrolux reverb, honestly. But isn't this just insane? They look really good too. It looks very clean. Yeah, 412. This thing has to weigh, I don't know, 120 pounds maybe? Crazy amp. $1,500 too, cheap. I mean, pretty cheap. Somebody scoop that up. It's just such a crazy amp. Like this, me and my buddy were talking. This is like the most expensive amp Fender probably ever offered in the history of the company, right? 412 quad reverb. This was the top of the range at the time with the most expensive speaker option, and 4 of them. This is crazy. This is such a crazy amp. I kind of want to own it just for that reason. Like this is the very tip top premium, most crazy thing Fender ever did in the most crazy configuration. I think that's really sick. But what do I know? But again, I'm not buying anything. Four JBLs with your two Swartz. That's crazy, Lou. Wow. JBL sounds are. I guess I've never. I'm trying to think. Have I spent any time with? I've not spent any time with the 10-inch JBLs. 12-inch. I've played one amp with them, a twin that had two of them, and then I played the Vibroverb with the 15-inch JBL, and I did not like the twin or the Vibroverb much at all. I didn't like the sounds of them. So, just not for me. But I am interested in the 10s. I think the 10s would be kind of cool. Especially the orange basket ones. Those are such a vibe. Well, no wonder you want everything so dark, Lou. You're playing through freaking 4 JBLs. The Showman with some JBLs, E-Series. Just see if there's anything on Craigslist with JBLs. There you go. This is like what I played. The amp weighed so much, and I just did not think the tone was very good. It was just so harsh. So harsh. Yeah. Yeah, I know the Grateful Dead was big on that. Oh, I didn't see this. This is cool. Wow. Look at that. Wow, that's saved. Don't see that very often. Grill cloth looks jacked. Let me make this a little bigger. $586 JBLs. That's so crazy. Damn, this poor thing. It's not like it's unobtainium to find backplates too. Mojotone will make them for you. I bet this guy would have an easier time selling it. Yeah, you can see the baffle's probably replaced. What does it say? Nope. It says absolutely nothing and no gut shots. And they expect you to pay him $8,500. Don't think so. I like to see if there's any tweeds too. It's funny, you see the amps that have been forever. This thing's been here for like, it says 11 days. It's probably been here for over a year. This one's got JBLs in it. That's kind of cool. Yeah, this thing's been here forever. Doesn't look like there's any vintage tweeds. This was a kit or something. I remember that one. Craigslist is light on tweeds. Bunch of reissues. This is cool. You don't see these very often. Reissue Bandmaster 310. That's cool. Yeah, not a single vintage tweed on Craigslist. That's crazy. In a 120 mile radius from me, and I'm right in the heart of Southern California. Wow, that's actually crazy. I'm curious. Yeah, dual Showman preamps. I played Neil Young's Tremolux at a guitar show. That was a very cool amp. They wanted $15,000 for it. Yeah, not much on you got Vibroverb. Looks very nice. Again, no circuit shots. That's crazy. $17,000, no circuit shots. These are cool amps, these Gibsons, but they're just so expensive. I really want one of these. I had that customer one in. I never did a YouTube video on it, but I did some work on it. It was I think it was a 17 RVT. It was a very good sounding amp. Very good. It was a 110. This looks like a 10-inch maybe. I told him I would buy it from him if he ever wanted to sell it. Twin with JBLs. Look for the ones with square stickers. Square stickers. So the round stickers are the 70s. Gibson Explorer. I love the Gibson amps. These are cool. I know somebody has one of these. I haven't played it though. These are funky. The Pros. Basically a Vibroverb with no reverb, right? Who would want that? What's the point of that amp? 7.1 plus. Got it. This has been listed for well over a year now. Year and a half, maybe. I recognize this shop. I think they're local to me. Yeah, Imperial. I am selling. I'll show this just if anyone's interested. I'm not selling it. Supposedly there's a guy coming by to get it on Sunday. But this was an amp that was on the channel that the owner, he just left it here with me, and he asked me to list it for him. So if the sale, he's actually looking to trade it for a for a, what's the short scale Fender guitars? Mustang? For a L series Mustang. But this thing is very pretty. Great sounding amp. NA. So this is January 64. AA 763. Pretty cool. And it's got C12Ns in it too, which is kind of neat. The model I want, Magnatone, I want a 260 really bad. God, they just went way up in price. They got so expensive and just they're not made well at all. The cabinets are terrible. I don't know. Like I saw they posted on Instagram. It was like a Goodwill Hunter page or something that was like highlighting it was on Goodwill's auction site. it sold for like 2,600 bucks or something stupid like that. A, that's above market value. You find them for $2,000 all day long. But B, like that's just so insane to be spending that much on a Magnatone. They're cool amps, but they're not made well. But I really want a 260. They're 212. They don't have the weird oval speakers or anything in them. So I've been after one of those for a while. I need to sell my 260, or sorry, 440. Excuse me. Yeah, 440. That one needs some love too. I just haven't worked on it, but it's a very cool amp. But I really want that 212 combo. I think that'd be a cool pairing with the AC30. Yeah, it was a Mustang. The Pro is 115 speaker. Yep. So the Pro non-reverb is a 1x15. The Pro reverb is a 2x12. Great amp. I have had a couple of those. And the Vibroverb is a 1x15, but with reverb, obviously. I like the look of the piggybacks too. I think they look beautiful. I don't like the look of the blackface piggybacks, but I love the blonde ones. I do not understand why they were paying so much above market value off Goodwill. I mean, also, do we trust Goodwill to ship a Magnatone? A vintage Magnatone? No, they're made of like cardboard. They're very poorly built. This is sick. I like this a lot. Tremolux, I wanted one of these forever. I searched high and low for one. I had a deal for one, locked up, and the guy pulled out on me. He sold it to somebody else out from under me. Look at all those Astrons that need to be replaced. What a cool amp, though. I'd love to try one. Big cab, deluxe, with a bigger cab and tremolo, obviously. And then it switched over. So you have the first version, which was literally a small box deluxe with tremolo. And then it went to a big box, but the same thing. Same circuit. And then they changed the circuit. I think it was the phase inverter setup. They went to, let's think, I'll go to fixed bias on it too. I can't remember, but the 5E9A. More headroom. Your favorite small tweed? Yeah, I wanted one so bad. I love the big Pro box because it's the Pro box, right? They're in the Pros. But with the 112, I just think that's so cool. But the prices, man, they got so crazy. $5,000, just insane. Long tail pair in fixed bias, yeah. Just really cool. I've heard people say online they don't have enough gain to them, but like, what does that mean? Does it actually have like a little bit of volume before it totally gains out? That's what I'd be looking for. Yeah. I came very close to buying a couple different Pros and just putting a 15-inch to a 12-inch conversion ring on them. Get more headroom that way. Be very similar to the 5E9, just more. $6,000 for Harvard. Tweed pricing is just so crazy. The small tweeds especially. I sold my mint 5F6A Princeton for $6,000 cash. Crazy. And you know what I did with that money? I bought a basement and kept about, $2,000 in my pocket. They're more like a 63 in sound in my ears. What? The Pro or the 5E9? Oh, the 5F1. They're more like a 63. 63 being the deluxe. Well, I paid. So for that Princeton, Matt, you saw it, right? Did you see it when you came by? I can't remember. I know I reached out to you when I thought I had a problem, and it ended up just being a dirty contact on the RCA speaker jack. I paid $1,800 for that cash. I didn't negotiate. That's just what the guy asked. I sold it for $6,000. So I got a Fender Bassman for free plus 1,800 bucks plus $2,000. So that worked out really well for me. I got very lucky. I got that right in COVID. So yeah, I literally got that Bassman for free. If you look at it that way, I made money on it. I love that thing so much. You need to come by, Matt, and play it. It's a spectacular amp. I love it so much. It's one of those, like, I think I said in the video, it's like one of those meet your hero things. Like, I was nervous if it was just gonna be kind of fall flat for me. Like, some of the vintage tweeds I've played, they're cool in their own little way, but they just, tend to be pretty low volume and just a bit underwhelming. The Bassman's not underwhelming, not at all. $75 for old caps. That's insane. eBay's so crazy. There's been some good stuff though. I'm gonna check after this. Wow, look at that. That is cool. This is very cool. They paid you to buy, exactly. That's guitar math. You got it. I didn't even think of that. My friend did. He went with me to go get the Bassman, and he's like, Tanner, you got that thing for free, plus you made $2,000. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, you just sold to Princeton for $6,000. You turned it into $2,000 profit and a Bassman for free. I'm like, all right, I'll take that. That sounds way better than saying I spent $4,000 on that amp. This is super cool. I really, really want an AC50. I want an AC100 as well. I would like to build out my Vox collection. But this is really cool. Big old cab. I'm sure it sounds terrible, but it looks sick. Wow, look at this poor thing. This thing looks like it was left on the beach. Rusted out. Ugh. How those ground connections inside, you think? Yeah, this is the same model the guy had, the 17 RVT. I was very impressed. I thought it sounded great. I liked it much more than the Princeton reverb I had at the time. And the reverb on it was spectacular. I could not believe how good it sounded. It didn't sound good cranked, but it sounded good clean. Vintage components for building or repair. I bought a big supply from a guy locally that had a list on Craigslist. He had a bunch of resistors and crap. Most of them were pulls, but I went through and found ones that all measured in tolerance and had long enough leads. I mean, it doesn't matter if they were in something before. So I used those where necessary. And also there's a place called... God, what is it called? Something Surplus that has new old stock Allen Bradley resistors, but basically all the values you need in most amps, like Fenders, are all gone. So that place doesn't really work anymore unless you're okay with like values that are slightly off or military style resistors with the extra color band on them. But I have had more than one modern carbon comp fail on me. Like brand new, I put one in a buddy's amp and in a plate resistor position, and I had it die within a couple months, which was insane. So I was very disappointed in that. So carbon comps, unless you're going the vintage ones, I wouldn't trust the modern ones. I've had 2 recently fail, which is just crazy to me. So I wouldn't trust them in like plate load resistor positions. They look ugly too. They look cheap to me. 9 grand for a deluxe is so dumb. I like this a lot. I've wanted one of these too. Not 5 grand. That's crazy. But the tone ring, I think it's a 110, right? Matt would know. I think these are a 110, right? I think they're super cool. Little mini piggybacks. About the carbon comps I use for my 5F2A. I mean, I'm sure they're fine, but if it's your own amp, it's not a big deal because you can just fix it. But putting in a customer's amp, you know, brand new carbon comp in the plate load resistors and a fender, and then all of a sudden it's super noisy. The amp's super noisy. Like, what the hell happened? And it's not the tubes. That's how my buddy brought it over. It sounded awful. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Everything is fine. I did work on this amp. It was perfect. And I narrowed it down to the resistors, replaced them, and there it went. All good. Here's a sad amp that's been sitting forever. This is a fake rare 310 combo. No, it's not. See this volume control here? The volume control should be here. I think Matt, you were one of the people that made me clued me in on this. All 310 Bandmasters originally were center volume. Now this cab looks good. Looks old. It looks like it's the pinkish. It's hard to tell. It looks like it's the pinkish Tolex, which is the rare one, which would have been right. So maybe it is an original cab, but the chassis is not original to this cab. Matt would know more than me. But this is the amp I really want. I know somebody with one, and I tried so many times to do a deal on it. I sold a 63 AC30 to make a cash offer on it. He just kind of like blew me off. I had it in my possession for a while. It was in the background of a few videos, and he didn't want to pay me to do the work to it. He didn't want to pay the bill. So I said, all right, come get it. I'm not going to just have it sitting here taunting me. I made an offer to buy it as is. And I also gave you a quote to need a full recap. All 17 caps replaced in it. Pretty big bill. But cab looks very squarish. Yeah, those early cabs are weird. I can look up and see. 6. God, what were these called? 5E7, 6G, 7, 310. Is it 6G7? This is an original one. No, it's not. Somebody on the gear page has a thread on theirs. 5G, it's 5G7. 5G7. Yeah. Yeah, you can see how the volume is in the center here. Center volume. Only made for a few months in 1960. Somebody's got a cool thread on the gear page with one though. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, you can see that. The Tolex. You can see it's very squared. That's not abnormal. Such a cool amp. I tried playing this guy's amp. The caps are gone on it. This thing was desperate need of a service. it was such a mess. I started doing a whole video on it. I did a deep dive on it, and like for the quote, because I just thought we would absolutely be doing the work on it, or I would just own it and I would do the work, right? Because I made a cash offer on it, and so I did detailed shots and everything, and I just had to toss all the footage because he just kind of he didn't want to pay the bill. And he didn't want to sell it to me, but he left it with me and kind of taunted me with it. But anyways, yeah, it looks, the white balance looks weird here, but this cab looks pretty good to me. It's hard to tell exact, but it does look like it's that earlier Tolex. Yeah, this one's been around forever. There's a few quote unquote fakes floating around there. There's another, that's an early Pro. Again, not center volume, but it's an early cab too. Same guy, looks like. So I don't know what's going on there. I was going to show this. I think I'll probably end with just a little perusing on our good old friendly Guitar Center. In the vintage section, we are. Let's go with the newest. See if there's anything. They can have some really cool stuff on Guitar Center and very fair pricing. Honestly, their pricing is like right in line with fair market. Like, look at this, a Pro Reverb for $1,800. That's exactly what I sold mine for. That's a great price. Those are great amps. 82, 1800. Look at this, $1,500 for a JCM 800, 212. That's great. I mean, it's not great, but it's good. The head is going to be, you know, over $2,000 easily, which is a little goofy. But it'll freaking load. Incredible photos by Guitar Center. And no description. That's a good price though. Yeah, they ripped the person off that sold that for sure. Probably gave him like $600. But they have stuff like this, like $4,000 for just the head. I understand it's hand wired, so what mine is. Mine's a 72, but $4,000 is insane. That's too much. So look, you have the head just here. Same amp. These two, basically the same amp. 82, 83. You get the amp plus 2 speakers versus just the head. $3,000, half the price. That's crazy, isn't it? So is this one just a great deal, or is this one overpriced? Maybe both. Solid price. Solid price on this. 27. That's so cheap. That's like what I paid for mine. What's been done to it? Oh, they changed. I forgot. They changed all of their things to just be chat. This is clearly Chat GPT. All of their descriptions are now Chat GPT. It's an amazing price if it's in good shape. Yeah, it says literally nothing. It's just Chat GPT. Replace speakers. Yeah, it's got replace speakers, but still, I mean, if it's got original, it looks in great condition. Somebody should buy that. Somebody should get that. Where's it at? South Bay. You're missing one of the little caps, but I mean, that thing looks really nice. 2,700 is very good. Replace speakers or not, that is a great price. That's so much amp. So I'm saying Guitar Center's got the goods. It's got good stuff. But they'll have head scratchers that are just way overpriced. They'll have other stuff that looks great. There's my my Jubilee. I don't like the really small little combos though, Marshalls. I did buy, so you guys haven't seen it on the channel yet, but I bought another, I mean, I don't know if I'd even do a video on this, but I bought a 64 AC30 Super Twin cabinet. To go for the AC10 SRT to be like the main cabinet. So I keep the 64 AC30 Super Twin head and cab together. And then I already have 2 original Alnico Silvers that have been in a box just as backups. I'm putting those in this cabinet I've got off Guitar Center. It's an original cab, but it was brutalized, and Guitar Center did not disclose all of that. I actually called the store, asked them some questions, and they didn't really answer my questions, and it showed up. There's a whole other story I was thinking about doing a video on, but the cabinet, I knew it had to replace speakers, but I didn't know the inside of it was just trash. The baffle was pretty chewed up. None of that was disclosed because it's a closed back cab and they ported it out. But anyways, long story short, the cab shows up and it is in way worse condition than I thought it was going to be. The baffle was pretty jacked. And so I, was like, maybe I can get a little bit of money off on it. I'm not sure I want to keep it because it's in worse condition, and it was fairly affordable, but still wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. Oh, they also said the grille cloth was original. It was a black Vox style, so I thought it was a 65 cab. Once I got it in hand, it was absolutely not. It was replaced, and you could see they had cut. You could see the shards of the original brown grille cloth that they had kind of taken an X-Acto knife to and cut out. So that was pretty disappointing. So I tried calling just to see what are my options are, because I never purchased from Guitar Center used vintage before. And the shop proceeded to tell me, I told them I lifted up one of the speakers to see the baffle damage, because I could see it was damaged, and you could see it's real. They had rounded out the speaker holes, so there's no center posts anymore, which is really disappointing on a vintage JMI cabinet. So yeah, this cabinet was a mess. None of that was disclosed, couldn't tell in the photos. And the guy at Guitar Center, because you call the original store that shipped it to negotiate after the purchase, and he said, well, because you admitted you lifted the speaker, you're no longer allowed to return it, so we won't do anything with it. You can't return it back to a store. We won't do a partial discount on it, anything. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, well, you just admitted to basically damage it. I'm like, I lifted a speaker. This thing showed damage, and I inspected the damage. And yeah, he was an absolute tool and proceeded to tell me that, sorry, you're stuck with it. Sucks for you. And yeah, it was so. I don't know if I've ever been more angry in my life. It's like talking to a freaking robot instead of a human being. But I offered to send him photos, whatever else. Anyways, long story short, I was able to get around that person who was trying to be Mr. Hotshot and got a discount enough that I decided to keep it. I'm having a guy, he's currently crafting in center posts in it, and I got original Vox grille cloth. It's the later black era, and it's been sitting out in the sun for like 2 months. Well, we have rain now, but been sitting outside trying to let it fade so it'll look nice. But yeah, it was such a cluster. I was so. I mean, Guitar Center ended up being fine when I got around that guy, but the guy himself, he's like, yeah, you can talk to anybody corporate. I'm going to put it in the system right now that you cannot return it because you admitted to modifying it, because I lifted a speaker to see what was wrong underneath. So yeah, screw those guys. So I did not have good experience with Guitar Center when I bought used, but I have a friend that's purchased stuff from them and there was no problem returning things. So, case by case. But they definitely have some deals for sure if you're willing to roll the dice, because you are rolling the dice, because stuff shows up completely different than what it said it would. But usually you do it and it's okay, because to the earlier point, you can just bring it back to the store and it's no big deal. Or have them ship it to the local store. Although it was not cheaper to do that. It was as much money to have them shipped to the store versus shipped to me. So that's why I just had them go to me, because I didn't think, like, it's just a freaking cabinet. What could go wrong? But it's a cool cabinet. I mean, it's a rare to get a Vox 212 Super Twin cabinet is very rare. They're closed back. Here's the other cool thing is I have all the parts to make it perfect. So I had the Vox cloth that I got. I had open back panels made for my Vox AC30 Super Twins cabinet, so I can run it as an open back, which is what I preferred lately. So I have the original closed back for that cab that's unmolested, that's just been sitting off to the side, so I can just take that, put that on this cabinet. I have the original, or I have early 60s, I have 64 silver Alnicos that are original cones in boxes I purchased from the UK. So I put all that together, and I've got another Super Twin cab, which is very rare, and I already know sounds incredible with the AC10 SRT. So that's the plan. Mesa Mark 1 price on 4K. Should I sell mine now? Probably. I don't know. I don't know much about the Mesa market, but it does seem crazy. I don't know how it's impacted with the Gibson, purchasing Mesa and then them launching the reissues. I think they're going to do more and more. It's probably going to drive up the vintage ones more, I would guess. But I don't know enough about the different Mark versions, what they've reissued and what's coming, to say. Like, I don't know anything about, like, Mark III. I think this is the same as the amp I worked on, this acoustic. This thing, I think this was a Mark III clone, if I remember correctly. No, this is a Mark II clone. I thought it was a good sounding amp. Very good. But terrible build. God, that thing sucked to work on. There you go, Mark III clone. Or Mark II. Sorry. Who's paying $8.99 for these? Who's that person? Look at this. $1,600 for a super reverb. 67. What's wrong with it? Replace speakers. No big deal. Are they Eminence? Replacement grill cloth. Reverb not working. That's a replacement grill cloth. Again, $3,500 for super lead. That's a lot. That's cool. I don't know if I've ever seen one in that color. It's like darker than the fawn. Maybe it's the lighting, but it looks darker. Looks like brown. '90s Blues DeVille is now considered vintage according to Guitar Center. That's funny. A couple more pages. I think I'm gonna call it. This was fun though. Thank you guys for hanging out. You guys make it way more fun. Apologies for the horrible guitar playing earlier. But at least we know it works. I gotta figure out that ground hum noise or whatever. Ground loop, USB noise thing. A lot of Mark IIIs. There you go. There's your fawn. So overpriced though. Jeez, $6,000. There was a guy selling one forever that would not move at $3,000. I reached out to him. He's an old guy. He ended up taking off the market. But I was interested. I think they're cool. There's a Mark II. Wait to page 10. How about that? Oh, look at this. A couple of the Valco amps. I freaking love mine still. That 210 dual twin Gretsch I did on the channel. I've seen one of these a few times. The base one's got a 115. I don't know much about the Supro, but it looks like obviously same ilk. I really like my amp. Everyone that's played it loves it. They want one. They're rare though. 2x10. There you go. Tremolux 5800. Insane. 2205. All right, last page, boys. Twin with JBLs. There you go. We'll end on this amp right here. I think this is insane. 2800 for a Princeton non-reverb. I mean, they're cool amps, but they're kind of like toys. Got no gain, not very loud. They're fine, but 2800 is absurd, especially when you think of like if that can get you a Vibrolux reverb. Good lord, what a difference. So cool. Spark a Pepsi can. Well, guys, thank you for the looks like we have 10 people still watching at freaking 1 a.m. Jeez, you guys are legends. I can't say that. Brad's got that copyrighted or trademarked. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Now I got kind of a little bit of a setup I can do in my office to where it's not too hard to do. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know. If you didn't enjoy the video, let me know. I think we'll end it here. Have a great night, everybody, and a good Friday. I'll see you guys.